the strongest technician of the Hidden Sand Village. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 351. The corpses are all gone. The third Hokage faced Uchiha, whose speed and power had been greatly improved, and finally used the method of sealing the zombies. The sealing of corpses is a super powerful sealing technique originated from the Uzumaki clan. The user can summon the god of death by placing seals in the order of Siheiweni Mauzuzi Uwusi. The god of death will then use his sword to cut off the target's soul and devour it into his belly, thus sealing the target's soul. The size of the sealed soul is determined by the control of the caster. However, while completing the seal, the caster also made a contract with the god of death and sold his soul to the god of death. In other words, after devouring the target's soul, his own soul will also be devoured by the god of death. The souls of oneself and the enemy will hate and fight each other forever in the belly of death and will never be reincarnated. This is the most powerful sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan. It is generally used to perish together with the enemy. Of course, this technique also has a way to unblock it, which is to guide the Shinigami sealed by the Ghoul to possess you. Just cut open the stomach of the god of death and be sealed. The soul of the caster will be liberated, and the seal will be released, but the caster will become a sacrifice. Generally speaking, unsealing the corpse ghosts cannot be done, so that the sealed soul can be reincarnated. Before the emergence of resurrection techniques such as filth reincarnation, generally speaking, few people would pay attention to the unsealing of the corpse ghosts. The third Hokage grabbed Uchiha's body with a ruthless look in his eyes. At the same time, countless special chains appeared under his feet, which also tightly entangled Uchiha. Oh, is this the art of sealing the Nine Tails? Uchiha Kid's Sharingan eyes shot out strange lights all over his body, and he tried to break free, but saw the third Hokage under the light, with one side of his face burned by the flames with scorch marks. The body was burning with flames, but the chain seal activated by the third Hokage was also a unique sealing technique left by the Uzumaki clan. As the death scythe slowly fell, Uchiha's vision gradually shifted. Old Gyuki Uchiha's face turned livid, and his Sharingan eyes shot out a stream of green flames, exploding on the third Hokage. Come to hell with me, Kid Uchiha. There is no unnecessary nonsense. After all, Uchiha is different from Orochimaru. The third generation of Hokage did not have much emotion. The sword of death slowly approached Uchiha. Sandaime-sama, several Anbu looked at Hokage with horrified expressions as he used the forbidden technique. It was obvious that he was ready to die with his enemies. Several leaders of the jounin class, including Nerishikaku, were helpless to watch the scene in front of them. Tonight such a genocide operation can be said to be a complete failure. Although the Uchiha clan was successfully destroyed, their counterattack before death almost severely damaged Konoha's vitality. On the other side of the battlefield, Unohana was wielding a long sword in his hand. The blade shone with light, forming a continuous killing offensive. The airflow blade formed a killing blade, making Obito and Itachi more frightened as they fought. With almost perfect teleportation skills and powerful sword skills, who is this woman? And she didn't know she was tired at all. Obito evaded while turning into a blur, but during the battle, he always felt that something was wrong. The familiar chakra fluctuations made Obito immediately realize the real owner of Unohana body. Unfortunately, Unohana didn't know who the name was, so Obito responded with a faster sword speed. It's not right, Lee doesn't have such powerful physical skills at all. Could it be said that her body is the same as Lee's, with the body of ice escape blood? Although it was not obvious, the cold light on the blade and the mirage-like illusion that appeared from time to time made Obito become more cautious. It is obvious that after many failures and setbacks over the years, Obito no longer has the arrogant style of doing things at the beginning. The series of attacks did not seem to be tiring. Unohana fast and aggressive fighting style kept Itachi and others contained. At the same time, she also noticed the special death power of Chiang. Rather than being a god of death, It is better to say that it is a communication medium ability point. Unahaneritsu, who was fighting with Itachi and Obito in the distance, naturally noticed that the third Hokage used the Ghoul Seal. The Shinigami that appeared here should be a spiritual control tool or a summoning medium in this world point. No matter what kind of world there is, there must be an order that maintains the balance between the present world and the afterlife. In Unahaneritsu's world, there are transit stations such as the Ritayan Soul Society. In this world, there are pure lands and spiritual death gods. No matter what, it is a kind of control over the soul. As if aware of Unahaneritsu's gaze, the Shinigami behind the third Hokage on the red sun unconsciously dropped a trace of sweat on his forehead point. Although they belong to different worlds, the aura of his own superior god in Unahaneritsu's body still shocked the god of death in this world point. However, due to the restrictions on the sealing of the corpse, it must cooperate with the caster to seal the soul during this period of time point. The sealing scroll was activated, and seeing Uchihaki's soul being drawn out and sealed on the scroll, the third Hokage looked at the young man opposite with a pale face point. Uchihaki's pair of Manjaki Sharingan gradually dimmed, and the countless Sharingan eyes on his body also closed one by one. Although the red sun was still in the sky, the fire began to slow down. Success. Just when the third Hokage showed a smile and was about to end the battle, a hot energy swept across the entire red sun. Uchihaki opened his eyes again, and while the Manjaki Sharingan Magatama was rotating, he showed a sneer. Unfortunately, Hokage-sama, your Ghoul sealing failed. How can this be? Although he still wanted to continue fighting, the third Hokage, who had ended his contract, finally couldn't hold on any longer and slowly fell down. Uchiha Kid was split under the 5 symbols technique. UU Reading www.ukanshu.net said that the white body and the soul are not the same person. The object of the death seal is the soul of Uchiha Kid, the original owner of the body. Therefore, the current Uchiha Kid is basically it can't be sealed because he is not Uchiha Kid in terms of origin. Outside Konoha village, Shiraishi looked at the red sun in the sky, with inexplicable thoughts flashing in his eyes. Although Uchiha Kid was not completely sealed by the Ghoul, the seal just now took away parts of Uchiha Kid, which also weakened the structure of his own soul, causing disharmony between his soul and his body point. Although Uchiha Kid on the red sun successfully escaped the third Hokage's zombie sealing, he did not have much energy left to entangle with Konoha. The Sharingan pearl in his body slowly detached from his body and returned to his original appearance. At the same time, Uchiha Maple takes the turbine flame characteristics to the extreme. Before you leave, Konoha, please accept my last gift and feel the pain of Uchiha. At this moment, the red sun produced a strange black light spot. Under the stunned eyes of the remaining villagers of Konoha village, the dark sun exploded in mid-air, releasing a unique and strange chakra energy. Oops, this energy. Chapter 352. From today on, the script will be rewritten by me. Chiang finally self-destructed, not to mention the yield of the explosion, but the aftermath contained special radioactive chakra energy, which contained the purest natural power of nature. Shiraishi calls this power flare poison. The original crisis caused by the box of bliss in the country of Kyushu was the violent force of nature. The situation is very similar now. The violent force of nature spreading over Konoha made many people look in pain. Their bodies involuntarily produced black pigment spots, and their bodies were corroded by the hot chakra. Although it was not fatal, it caused great pain all over their bodies. This method is more uncomfortable than killing them. According to Shiraishi's estimation, the flare poisoning an ordinary person can torture them for at least 10 years before they completely lose their life. How will the residents of the village view tonight's events due to the pain caused during this period? The Lowland Chamber of Commerce's convoy slowly started in the Kingdom of Fire. Uchiha Kid used special time and space coordinates to return to the convoy with Unahaneritsu, but he was in a very bad condition now. The remaining soul and memory belonging to Kid Uchiha were stripped away by the power of death, and now only the purest part of Shiraishi's split soul and part of the chaotic spiritual power absorbed and transformed are left. Fortunately, Shiraishi is not helpless. As long as Uchiha Kid's main soul is still there, and the remaining missing parts are left, the copied data and memory information in the brain's internal regeneration core can be imported immediately. This is why Shiraishi continues to develop new generations of regenerative cores. Today's regenerative cores have been upgraded to something similar to a processor chip, which enhances the computing power of the user's brain core and assists in memory work. Normally, it is just used as a pure record, but in this special period, the data stored in the chip is backup information. This massive amount of information is mixed with the chakra that Shiraishi fills into Uchihaki's body, constantly healing and repairing Uchihaki's soul sealing all corpses and ghosts is really a forbidden technique that catches you off guard. The Third Hokage acted so decisively and directly activated the sealing of the corpses to kill them all, which disrupted Uchihaki's plan. However, the final stage result of releasing the flare poison was not a loss compared to rescuing Uchihaki. It is actually easier for Shiraishi to cast the 5 symbols of the heaven-defying curse just now and directly merge with Uchihaki's soul again. However, now Sunagakure village has to integrate into the new Uchiha family, a living Uchihaki. This group of Uchiha people can be quickly stabilized. At the same time, in the ruined Konoha village, Uchiha Itachi found the unconscious Sasuke in the roots. Itachi had originally planned to create an illusion to make Sasuke hate and resent him, but now all this is unnecessary. If Sasuke wants to live in Konoha in the future, he must have more sunshine in his heart instead of blind darkness. Looking at Sasuke sleeping soundly on the bed, Itachi condensed special chakra fluctuations on his fingers and gently tapped Sasuke's forehead, introducing the unique illusion into his dream. Danzo allowed Itachi Uchiha to act. Even though Uchiha was destroyed tonight and the third generation died in battle, he should have taken advantage of the situation to compete for the position of Hokage, but Danzo had more things on his mind. Suddenly, Danzo found that it would be very difficult to become Hokage and take over Konoha. Uchiha Sasuke was destined not to become a respected ninja in the future because Uchihaki's actions tore apart the conflict between Uchiha and Konoha. And even the third generation of Hokage died in the battle. The third Hokage died in the battle, and the civil strife in Uchiha will cause turmoil and unrest in the shinobi world. Sunagakure may soon launch a large-scale northern expedition to attack Konoha directly. Under this background, Danzo knew that he was not a leader suitable to unite Konoha, so when he was closest to the throne of Hokage, he directly began to waver and even flinched. Historically, Danzo pursued the throne of Hokage tirelessly, even ignoring the threat of Akatsuki, because he believed that Konoha was the strongest ninja village in the world. After defeating Akatsuki, he would be able to unify the ninja world just around the corner, but the actual situation now makes it impossible for him to live in a dream. The threat of Sunagakure is real. Konoha is no longer the Konoha that was at the top of the ninja world in the past. Whether it can resist that monster and Sunagakure's huge army is still a matter of course. An unknown quantity. Danzo-sama, Jiraiya is back. Hearing the news of Jiraiya's return, Danzo felt relieved for some reason and tapped the ground lightly with his crutch. I understand. Let's wait and see for now. When he said this, Danzo's tone was a little light, slightly different from the cold and serious tone in the past. The fire caused by the red sun, along with Konoha's use of the fire sealing seal day and night for 5 days, finally succeeded in quelling the fire. During this period, most of the ninjas stationed outside also rushed back to Konoha, including the newly risen Mike jounin like K. The losses after the incident were finally accounted for. More than 1,000 people were killed directly by the Red Sun attack, and more than 10,000 people were seriously injured. Most of these people were poisoned by the flare. Although they were still alive, they were still injured. He has to live in pain for half his life. Before Uchihaki left Konoha, this method was more painful than killing them directly. Although the third Hokage passed away, several Hokage consultants could only send additional medical teams for various treatments. However, with Jiraiya's return, the situation began to stabilize little by little. The 2 Hokage advisors were ready to let Jiraiya take over the position of Hokage, but Jiraiya refused. Regardless of that era, when Jiraiya heard that he wanted to be Hokage, he immediately recommended Tsunade to take over as Hokage, and even brought Itachi and Kakashi to retrieve Tsunade. For this matter, Uchiha Itachi's current situation makes it impossible for him to leave Konoha and join Akatsuki, because the situation in the village is too dangerous. and he has to take good care of Sasuke to prevent his growing environment from being too harsh. So he has no choice but to stay. Nagato and Obito within the Akatsuki organization are also having closed door negotiations. The situation in the ninja world is still in turmoil. Although the Akatsuki organization has the country of Rain as a barrier, the current chaos in Konoha is obviously promoted by Sunagakure secretly, and a war in the ninja world will happen at any time. After the outbreak, Akatsuki's series of previous plans must also be stopped, and he is ready to deal with Sunagakure with all his strength. It turned out that after a period of running and negotiation, Nagato and the Iwa Ninja village finally formed an alliance, and the two sides joined forces to fight against Sunagakure in the south. For this matter, the Third Kazekage even deliberately ignored the fact that there was a rebel ninja Deidara within the Akatsuki organization. Sister Kwan, how long until we reach the Kingdom of Wind? It should be soon. In the carriage, Uchiha stared at Uchiha Izumi across from him with wide eyes. As Itachi's lover, Izumi is currently being somewhat ostracized by the remaining clan members, so she is usually accompanied by Keri, who is about the same size as Itachi's younger brother. The first time Kwan and Itachi met was when they were playing with other boys at the memorial monument and saw Itachi thinking about life for the first time. At that time, the aura of Itachi deeply attracted Kwan. Later, although she and Itachi established a romantic relationship, Itachi, who was focused on dealing with his family in the village, didn't care much about Izumi. This does not prevent Izumi from missing Itachi. Kanshu www.ukanshu.net. In the original history, Izumi should have spent an illusory life in Itachi's Tsukuyomi world on the night of the genocide, and finally died in Itachi's Kune. However, due to Uchiha-Kide's relationship, he left Konoha and went to Sunagakure. The dim light dissipated little by little, and the car door was gently opened. The prosperous and affluent country of Wind gradually came into sight of the remaining Uchiha clansmen. A new beginning. At the same time, in the luxurious and spacious carriage where Shiraishi was, a scroll labeled feasibility report on the nine-tailed beast capture plan was placed on Shiraishi's desk. Shiraishi, who was holding a brush, slowly picked up the brush and gently wrote the first stroke. The nine-tailed beasts are related to the core secrets of the ninja world. The plan of the Akatsuki organization is nothing more than to gather together the tailed beasts and create the 10 tails. Compared to the cautious approach of the Akatsuki organization, which continuously collects financial information and organizes arrests, Sunagakure village, whose overall strength is undoubtedly the pinnacle of the ninja world, began to actively intervene in this matter after making a judgment. Shiraishi's eyes were cold. From today on, the script of the ninja world will be written by me, not you Uchiha Madara, or the Otsutsuki family. Chapter 353, A New World. In the bumpy carriage, Uchiha Kid was still being carefully nursed back to health, and Shiraishi and Unohanaritsu were treating him together. The secret technique of splitting your soul into multiple separate individuals is really magical. However, the surprise is that the strength of your soul has not been weakened by this, and has even become stronger. The sequelae of sealing off the corpses made Uchiha Kid's brain dizzy all the time. Although Shiraishi treated him, the loss of his soul still made Uchiha Kid's condition unstable. Unohanaritsu is very interested in the status of Shiraishi and Uchiha Kid. Although she is not the mad scientist like Nirvana, Shiraishi's status is too conspicuous. Previously, he himself had his spirit body repaired by the 5 symbols technique of the heavenly curse, so Unohanaritsu understood Uchiha Kid's origin as soon as he saw him. At the same time, he also felt that it was very magical, that it could split a person into 5 independent souls. Individually, this kind of secret technique seems to be magical to Wasaholai. However, since it is a soul issue, Unohanaritsu is in a sense more proficient than Shiraishi. He now needs to stabilize his spiritual state. This is something I, as a Shinigami, would be more appropriate to handle. Then, I'll trouble you. His soul was severely damaged by the god of death in this world, but was treated by the god of death in another world. This world is so crazy. Not to mention Shiraishi's emotion. I saw Unohanaritsu holding the end of the soul-cutting sword's handle and gently pressing Uchiha Kid's forehead. Soon, special Chinese characters appeared on Uchiha Kid's forehead. At this time, Unohanaritsu performed a unique the soul requiem chanting technique produced a faint wave of spiritual light, illuminating Uchihaki's whole body. One of the basic abilities of the Shinigami is to extradite the dead, of which there are two main types, soul hiding and purification. However, in the case of Uchiha, Unohanaritsu uses the third, relatively rare, requiem chanting method. Requiem chanting is used for those spirits that have not lost their lifespan, but have inadvertently separated from the body. Therefore, for Unohanaritsu, it does not need to consume too much spiritual energy. It is a talent that comes with the god of death. A unique light shines in the carriage. The more Shiraishi looks at it, the more surprised he becomes. The god of death in this other world has so many talents and abilities, and they are much more useful than the god of death in his own world, who can only seal. To be called the god of death, he must have his own unique abilities. Realizing what Shiraishi was thinking, Unohanaritsu withdrew the soul-cutting knife, her face a little weak and pale. The most ordinary chant consumed more spiritual power than she imagined, and Unohanaritsu became extremely weak for a while. The death god you saw should be a clone of the Pure Land spiritual medium, so the ability it can use is not very strong, so it mainly seals the soul. In Unohanaritsu's view, the laws of the three realms in the ninja world are a little stricter than those in the Soul Society. At least there won't be too many undead souls inexplicably coming to the world, so the order and rules of the three realms are more stable. However, the current world is on the contrary. There are all kinds of chaos, endless ninjutsu methods, and even secret techniques that play with the souls of the dead. This makes Unohanaritsu lament the chaos of the world. Since it was a soul healing method from the god of death, the effect was naturally good. Uchihaki's originally chaotic state was completely stabilized this time, and he could barely move around soon. How is the completion status of the Sharingan? A few hours later, Uchihaki's first words after waking up were to care about the Sharingan Pearl. After all, the Sharingan Pearl absorbed the power of so many Uchiha people that night, and the Sharingan Pearl's power continued to increase. It was a pity that at that time, Uchiha was fighting with the third Hokage, so there is no time to take care of it. It's basically finished now. After all, the absorption of pupil power in that environment makes the dark side of the Sharingan Pearl too strong. Excessive use will lead to distortion of the mind. The Sharingan bead was completed in Uchiha's body. After Shiraishi rescued Uchiha, he took out the Sharingan bead from his body. However, the various negative and dark energies contained in it frightened Shiraishi, so he deliberately used a scroll to temporarily remove the Sharingan bead. The beads are sealed. After settling the matter of the Sharingan Pearl, Uchiha was silent for a while and then said, "I will not return to Sunagakure village from now on." The two of them are one, so Shiraishi naturally understands what Uchiha means. You want to join Akatsuki? Well, the Sunagakure version of the tailed beast capture plan is about to start, but on the surface, Akatsuki's existence is still needed. Although they are allied with the Iwa ninja, Nagato is not someone who simply obeys at Sachikage. Akatsuki's goal is the tailed beasts. Although he had to join forces with the Iwa ninja in order to get one, the tailed beasts are all in other ninja villages, so essentially these guys will not join any ninja village forever. What's more, in addition to the apparent leader Nagato, the masked man pretending to be Uchiha Madara is actually Uchiha Obito. He is also a target of attention. Uchiha is more suitable to get close to Obito than Deidara. Returning to Sunagakure now is nothing more than managing the tribe as the Uchiha clan leader of Sunagakure and provoking the direct anger of Konoha. However, after joining Akatsuki, he can become a thorn between Iwa Ninja and Konoha. The possibility of Akatsuki and Iwa Ninja teaming up is very high, so be careful mentioning this matter. Uchiha smiled. Don't worry, there is Deidara in the organization. Just focus on your own plan. After the two briefly explained, Uchiha stepped out of the carriage and went to the tribe to give a simple farewell and explanation. It has to be said that as the leader of the remaining members of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha still has great prestige in their eyes, especially that night when the sun created by Uchiha set the entire Konoha on fire. Ye suppressed the evil spirit and finally got rid of it. Once Uchiha explained that he had other tasks and could not stay in the Kingdom of Wind for the time being. Most of the clan members expressed their understanding. After all, ninjas are like this and everything is focused on tasks among them. Uchihake looked at Uchihakid with twinkling eyes, a look of admiration in his eyes, gently grabbing the hand of Kwan, who was a few years older than him. Ki made up his mind. Sister Kwan, I must become as strong as Master Feng in the future. Well, I believe you being held by a kid. Kwan's heart palpitated for no reason, but he soon returned to normal point now. What she was thinking about was Uchiha. As for K in front of her, Izumi just regarded him as a younger brother in the deep world of Shiraishi's consciousness. In the dark and mysterious palace, the 6 mirrors circling each other once again reflected each other's light. The third mirror among them bloomed with dazzling light at this moment. Scenes of killing, bloodshed, betrayal, and revenge were staged alternately. Countless monsters shook the earth. How weak the human race was in front of these powerful monsters at this time. A white light opened in the sky, tearing the world in front of us, purifying and destroying countless monsters in front of us, bringing endless hope and salvation. Suddenly, Shiraishi opened his eyes and woke up in shock. The third world. Chapter 354. The fifth Hokage. Part of the memory of the third world was unlocked, but this time traveler was unlucky like the other 2 time travelers. He didn't even understand the world in front of him, so he died inexplicably in a disaster. However, even though there was only a partial memory fragment, Shiraishi was able to feel the special purifying power of the light just now. In a sense, it is a more pure power of nature than Unohanaritsu's power of death. This power can expel the dark power contained in the Sharingan Pearl. Shiraishi has always underestimated the inherent strong emotions of the Uchiha family. The huge emotional stimulation brought to the Uchiha family by the night of genocide almost made the Sharingan jewel become the evil in this world, and the negative energy almost affected him. Sunagakure accepted the information about the orphan of the Uchiha clan. In fact, there was not much concealment along the way. Konoha did not continue the war of words over this matter after confirming that Uchihakid had not joined Sunagakure. To be precise, Konoha no longer has the intention to engage in a war of words. The position of Hokage is vacant. Although Jiraiya wants to find Tsunade to take over as Hokage, several senior officials have no confidence in their hearts. Even Danzo has been thinking about how to win the 4th ninja war in the future. The overall strength of Shiraishi and Sunagakure is too strong, which makes Konoha sadly find that his chances of winning are very low, and Kumo Ninja and Iwa Ninja will definitely destroy Konoha as cannon fodder on the front line of the war with Sunagakure. Unless there is some special way to strengthen Konoha's high-end combat power, just like Mount Myaboku's invasion of Sunagakure. Maybe Orochimaru can do something. Abandon the kingdom of Nera. Shikaku, as the chief think tank of Konoha, actually put forward his own suggestions at high-level meetings. Danzo's face changed drastically, and he seemed to be furious, but he fell silent, just as he was about to say the words. When Danzo spoke again a moment later, his tone was much calmer. Do you want Kumo Shinobi to share the pressure? Although Konoha was uncomfortable with the fall of Kuni, Kumogakure was even more uncomfortable. If this last barrier is lost, the Sunagakure Navy's front will be directed towards Kumogakure village. Although it will make the entire alliance pattern difficult, Konoha's game of chess is straightforward, and it is worthy of the Nera family. The top management of Konoha have very active minds. Anyway, Kumo Hidden Village was not clean some time ago, and cheated themselves in the Bear Country. Now it would be good to sell Kumo Hidden Village. In the new oasis area of Sunagakure village, the entrance to the Iroquois family's mansion is still very grand, but the weeds around the corners seem to indicate that few people have walked around this mansion in recent years. The great turmoil between the Iroquois family and the Yamaji family in the past caused the Iroquois and Yamaji families to almost wither away. Fortunately, the remaining clan members were very strong and united together, preventing the 3 Sand Escape families from completely withering away. In order to get out of the predicament, the family spared no effort to cultivate good young talents of the new generation. Among them, Iroquois Kashiwa, Shanlukozu and Eluozi are the current leaders of the 3 lines. Eluosha's situation is very awkward, but his relationship with the current Feng Ying has improved a lot in recent years, so he can be regarded as a strong supporter among the 3 Sand Escapes, but he rarely directly participates in family affairs now. you know that the Uchiha family will join Sunagakure soon. The first words of Yamaji Kotake made Arakawa Kashiwa's expression change. Uncle Yamaji, are you sure the information on this matter is true? Weren't the Uchiha family wiped out some time ago? Kazekage-sama took in the women, children and orphans of the Uchiha family through some unknown means. Although Konoha did not have a clear reaction, judging from Kazekage-sama's attitude, it seems that he wants to publicize it. The Uzumaki family in the past few years, and now the Uchiha family, Sunagakure has attracted more and more blood successor families to join, which means that the entire country of Wind is now growing in strength. However, as representatives of the old local forces, people like the Sand and Sanmei, he seemed very nervous. Shanjikazu, who picked up a cup of tea and took a sip, shook his head. What's even more terrifying is that the number of people who have moved here from the Uchiha family this time has reached hundreds of people, compared with the original Uzumaki family. Now only Uzumaki Tamaki is left alone. As for the Ice Escape Blood family, they are also thin. The influence of these families, when they join Sunagakure, is more of a symbolic meaning. However, this time the Uchiha family is not same point. Although the immigrants were mostly women and children, the pure Uchiha family children accounted for the majority. Within 5 or 6 years, a group of young and middle-aged men would develop, and by then the Uchiha family will be completely revived. The strength of the Uchiha family is not just a boast. With the blessing of the Sharingan, a plug-in and cheating blood successor, the Uchiha family with huge potential is bound to become a powerful family in Sunagakure in the future. This made the 3 local sand escapers feel anxious and uneasy. Although they claimed to be a wealthy family of Sunagakure, compared with the wealthy families from Konoha, it was obvious that they were ordinary families. Uncle ZHU, what should we do? Shanlu Ikuzu thought for a moment. Strengthen your own strength and restore the glory of the 3 lines as soon as possible. There is no need to limit yourself to the Sunagakure mainland. Your strategy of joining the navy is right. In the future, we must find ways to expand our influence at sea. Although they don't like to get involved in these things, Shanlukazu and Arakawa Kashiwa have no choice but to shoulder the burden of reviving their families. They must continue to work hard to strengthen themselves and live up to the expectations of the entire family. After all, the 2 of them were able to stand out among Sunagakure and were selected by Shiraishi in the early stage. It was also because their respective families used all the resources to pile up, making them stand out among countless geniuses. As for Arashi Arakawa, almost all the members of the Sanmei family automatically ignored him. Anyway, in the eyes of this big shot, the Arakawa surname he represented was already worthless. There is another news. Konoha has elected the 5th Hokage. UU Reading www.uakunshu.net HMM. Is it Jiraiya? Mentioning this matter, Yamaji Kakitake smiled mockingly. It's Tsunade. In addition, after Uchiha Itachi came back, he directly served as the head of the Anbu. It seems that not only Sunagakure has Arakawa Arashi, but Konoha also has similar guys. Nowadays, many people in Sunagakure village compare Arakawa Arashi and Uchiha Itachi, thinking that they are both people who are too harsh on the family. Arakawa Arashi does not care about these boring remarks. The Arakawa family felt ashamed that he was the first, and his retaliation was limited. After all, he could not do the same thing as Itachi Uchiha. Except for his closest brother, he would not spare any of his parents, lovers, relatives, and even the younger members of other clansmen. It is said that several children died tragically at his hands that day. Uchiha Itachi's butcher knife was much more powerful than Arakawa Arashi's. What's more, Arakawa Arashi is very clear that he, like Morimoto Ryoji in the past, is a sharp blade in the hands of the Kazekage, but he knows better than Morimoto Ryoji who the blade needs to be aimed at. Therefore, Arakawa Arashi can firmly occupy the position of the 3 giants in Sunagakure, second only to Shiraishi. Chapter 355. The 3 ninjas of Konoha reunited. The process of Jiraiya taking Itachi to find Tsunade was actually full of twists and turns. Tsunade initially mocked and rejected Jiraiya's request because of her fear of blood, Hokage, and all. He's the most boring, if Uzumaki Naruto were here, he would definitely jump out and accused Tsunade of ruining his dream. But unfortunately, Uchiha Itachi followed Jiraiya point ever since his brother was picked up from the root. Itachi didn't know how to explain the whole incident to his brother, especially when Sasuke went out and found a messy village. After the villagers looked at him with indifference and even disgust, Sasuke turned pale and went home in silence. The Uchiha clan rebelled. The elder brother killed his father, mother and even the entire clan out of righteousness, but Mr. Kid finally fought back and blew up the entire Konoha. Suddenly, Sasuke's mind was in a mess, and he didn't even want to pay attention to his favorite brother because he didn't understand why he suddenly lost everything overnight. Seeing his brother's reaction, Itachi was heartbroken, which was why he didn't leave Konoha and chose to stay because the environment in Konoha at this time was too harsh for Sasuke. He had to stay and take care of him. During this period of time, when he left the village to perform a mission, Itachi had to entrust Sasuke to Captain Kakashi and the Anbu. Perhaps he was the only one who could take good care of Sasuke temporarily. So seeing Tsunade not cooperating, Itachi was about to take action, but was stopped by Jiraiya. It would be difficult to use force to make Tsunade surrender, and Jiraiya didn't want Tsunade to conflict with Itachi. After all, she was the future Hokage. Tsunade is the only suitable Hokage at this stage. Both Jiraiya and Tsunade know this, but there are still some shortcomings that are not enough for her to make up her mind to go back to the village directly. Haha, long time no see, two old friends. At this time, Orochimaru suddenly appeared and directly taunted the third Hokage that he was a waste and was killed by a junior of the Uchiha family. He was simply unworthy of his former reputation as the hero of the ninja world. After saying a bunch of sarcastic words, although Jiraiya was very angry, he unexpectedly found that Tsunade's emotions were also aroused. This is a good thing, Jiraiya-sama. I'm not in conflict with Tsunade-sama, but I'm trying to find a way to solve her blood phobia. As soon as Itachi spoke, Orochimaru's attention was completely diverted, and for a moment his eyes never left Itachi's beautiful Manjaki Sharingan. In order to cure hemophobia, Itachi used Tsukuyomi Jinjutsu to stimulate Tsunade to achieve a therapeutic effect. I promise you. Obviously, the moment Tsunade and Uchiha Itachi looked at each other, she was in the Tsukuyomi world. After several days, accompanied by various scene changes and inner monologues, Tsunade, a former Sannin, finally cheered up and overcame her fear of blood disease. As for Orochimaru, who had always kept his eyes on Itachi, he unexpectedly smiled after seeing Tsunade overcome his hemophobia. Although he envied Uchiha Itachi's Manjaki Sharingan, Orochimaru now had other goals and ideas, so after seeing his two friends cheer up, he was ready to leave. Orochimaru, stay and help us. Jiraiya's call made Orochimaru pause for a moment, and then he smiled and turned around with disdain. You are now unable to fight against that monster Sunagakure. I will not stay to help you in a war with no chance of winning. Do this kind of thing. Haha, Orochimaru, you guy. Jiraiya smiled boldly, and his mood became particularly good. Although Orochimaru kept saying no, why couldn't he hear the subtext in his words? From the moment he came in and provoked Tsunade, Jiraiya knew very well that the three Konoha ninja had not worked together like this for a long time. With his back to his two companions, Orochimaru said faintly, the second Hokage left behind a very special secret technique. As long as it is better improved, there may be a way to reverse the current situation in the ninja world. Has that person become stronger now? Tsunade's impression of Shiraishi was still a long time ago. The disciple who used the secret technique of human body to play with himself on the battlefield has now become a hero and a famous figure in the ninja world. This makes Tsunade wonder if the world has changed. Speaking of Shiraishi, Orochimaru smiled happily. Didn't our dear teacher die because of the secret technique he created? Orochimaru, are you sure this matter has something to do with Sunagakure? Jiraiya and Tsunade have not returned to the village for a long time, and they are not even as clear about the internal affairs of Konoha as Orochimaru, who has been cooperating with Jinzo. They are missing too much in terms of intelligence. Especially Tsunade, since she is preparing to take over the responsibility of Hokage. She must think about how to deal with the great enemy of Sunagakure, based on the Hokage problem, the women, children and orphans of the Uchiha clan are currently transferred to the Kingdom of Wind. On the night of the genocide, the convoy of the Lowland Chamber of Commerce appeared near Konoha. These two details that happened that night were enough for Orochimaru to deduce all this, but he did not remind Danzo, but chose to share it with his two former companions. Although the details of that night's battle were unclear, Orochimaru was certain that the person who could plan such a grand plan in today's ninja world must be the Kazekage of Sunagakure village about the strange red sun and the poison of the flare afterwards. What's more, it's not just a day or two that he covets the Uchiha successor. When he cooperated with him, he had a strong interest in the Uchiha clan successor at the same time that Orochimaru was meeting Jiraiya and Tsunade outside the Land of Rain. Uchiha looked at Obito, who suddenly appeared with a cold face. Didn't Lord Kazekage from the Kingdom of Wind accept you? The first thing he saw when he saw Uchiha, Obito sneered and mocked him. Obviously, he didn't like Uchiha very much. Ever since he first met Uchiha during the Ninetales Rebellion, he had disliked this guy. However, Obito also knows that it is impossible for Uchiha to join Sunagakure village, because he is currently the most terrifying S-level wanted traitor ninja in the history of Konoha. Although Sunagakure is the strongest ninja village in the ninja world, but not it is possible to openly accept such a vicious and rebellious person. Therefore, Uchiha's only way out is to join the Akatsuki organization, which is composed entirely of S-class rebellious ninjas. Didn't Uchiha Itachi join Akatsuki? When it comes to words, Uchiha doesn't give in too much. These words directly hit Obito's heart, making his skin beat wildly. That bastard Itachi clearly promised to join Akatsuki after everything happened, but now he is staying in Konoha to help those old guys with peace of mind. Whether this guy has any sense of shame or not, he has gone back on his promise several times. Compared to you, I prefer Itachi to appear in front of me. Obito's words were thorny, but Uchiha ignored his attitude and walked forward on his own. When he passed by Obito, he saw several chains shooting out and directly entangled Uchiha. Although he expressed his disdain for Uchiha earlier, Obito's actions at this moment betrayed his truest thoughts. That night you released that level of secret technique. How much power do you have left? During the fierce battle between Uchiha and the Third Hokage, the numerous densely packed Sharinganais that appeared on the surface of his body impressed Obito, who suffered from trypophobia. Now he is back to normal, but the huge eye power in his body has disappeared, which makes Obito even more. I want to confirm the actual situation of Uchiha. The most important thing is, what about the special sun secret technique similar to the infinite Tsukuyomi? Regarding the infinite Tsukuyomi, Obito's mind was completely confused. Chapter 356, Cooperation with Black Zetsu. Outside the wilderness, Obito had many questions to ask, but Uchiha was not someone to be trifled with. A domineering flame spread from Uchiha, directly forcing Obito back. Obito was a little confused as this flame felt familiar, but for a moment he was not sure. Aoan, why do you have the ability of the 5th Kazekage? Shaking the dust off his body, Uchiha knew that this hand was not enough to stop Obito's prying and probing. This is not Kingayan, but a blood inheritance power similar to Amaterasu, which can be achieved using cell cloning technology. Seeing Obito's confused look, Uchiha snorted. You can ask Orochimaru for tutoring in biology. You're all good. Why do you feel like you've been despised again? At this time, countless chains began to burn, and in the process of breaking layer by layer, he was seen moving towards Obito forcefully. The kaleidoscope of both eyes opened slowly, and Uchiha and Obito looked at each other. How much eye power do I have? Have you tested it enough now? A special round of small crimson fireballs burned on Uchiha's palm, giving people a very hot and domineering feeling. Seeing that Uchiha's strength was still so troublesome, Obito quickly adjusted his strategy. Can the technique you used that night, which is similar to the limited unlimited Tsukuyomi, still be used? Obviously, Obito was most concerned about this matter. Uchiha felt the eagerness of the masked man opposite him, and directly interrupted his fantasy. Without the sacrifice of the entire Uchiha clan, that move cannot be used again. With the cooperation of Sharingan beads, it is indeed possible to cast the spell again, but now it is in the hands of Shiraishi's body. All Uchiha need telling Obito that he must have enough Sharingan caster power to sacrifice. Having seen Obito, whose pupil power had disappeared at the Uchiha mansion, he did not doubt Uchiha Kid's words and nodded dully. Then, come with me, and I will introduce you to the leader of Akatsuki. At the same time that Kid, Uchiha and the leaders of the light and dark sides of the Akatsuki organization met in Shiraishi's secret room in Sunagakure village, Shiraishi was holding a pen and gently writing on the scroll point. Although the situation in Konoha has calmed down, it is because Sunagakure, the great enemy, is eyeing him eagerly that the whole Konoha team is united. Even Danzo's roots began to cooperate to some extent with the Anbu, sharing a lot of intelligence and information. Also, because of Tsunede's return, the overall strength of Konoha's medical team has been greatly improved. Among them, Tsunade tried her best to protect Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto. The former was Uchiha Itachi's only bond, and the latter was a Jinchuriki, an important combat force of the village in the future. However, now that Konoha has withdrawn its troops from the country of Yu, it has completely exposed its own weakness. The strategic strength of the entire country of fire has shrunk significantly, which is enough to make the current ninja world even more turbulent. Under such circumstances, the Iwagakure and Kumogakure families restrained their greed and provided certain assistance to Konoha, especially Kumogakure village. Although Konoha evacuated Yuno country and left the Kumogakure family to defend themselves, the Raikage did not know accusations. The 4th generation Raikage understands Konoha's approach. If he were to manage Konoha, he would probably shrink his own power to deal with Sunagakure's war. After the two hinterlands of the country of bears and the country of Sora were both controlled by Sunagakure, the battlefield of the 4th Ninja World War in the future will break out directly in the country of fire. Therefore, both Kumogakure and Iwagakure are trying their best to restore some of Konoha's strength to resist the future mainland offensive of Sunagakure. But understanding is understanding. This incident has also greatly increased the pressure on Kumo Hidden's defense line in the direction of Yuno country. Although Sunagakure has not made any big moves in recent years, a large number of students who graduated from the 6 major ninja schools have been recruited into the Sunagakure team. The current number of regular Sunagakure ninjas has reached more than 40,000, which is comparable to the other 3 major ninja villages combined. This number will continue to rise in the next few years. With such a huge force, how can other ninja villages not be frightened? Moreover, according to the investigation, these graduated ninjas are not cannon fodder who are thrown into the battlefield after graduation in traditional ninja wars. On the contrary, they have extremely excellent overall qualities. The ninja world war will break out sooner or later, but the daimyo of each country are now fully supporting their respective ninja villages in resisting Sunagakure. Although the daimyo of the Kingdom of Wind still appear from time to time, the top officials of other countries are not fools. The daimyo of the Kingdom of Wind have long become puppets of the Wind Shadow in recent years. The entire daimyo government and bureaucratic management model have all changed in the Kingdom of Wind. Because of this, other countries are very resistant to Sunagakure and even regarded as a scourge. Even the daimyo of the Land of Water behind Kirigakure village is very dissatisfied with the current alliance policy between Kirigakure and Sunagakure. However, after the daimyo of the Land of Water died inexplicably in an assassination, the new daimyo did not question this matter. Now that you're here, just show up. After Shiraishi put down the pen in his hand and finished speaking, he saw the head of mysterious black weirdo suddenly appeared on the ground in the room in front of him. He was the Black Zetsu who escaped from Shiraishi last time. Weird laughter echoed throughout the space, and Black Zetsu looked at Shiraishi with a smile. Giggle. Lord Kazekage, we meet again. Shiraishi was writing something and didn't even raise his head when he saw Heady Zetsu. Do you still dare to show up here? After sneering a few times, Heady said quietly, without the special invitation sent by Lord Kazekage last time, I would not dare to appear here. When Shiraishi used the water silk chakra thread to kill Beizetsu outside Konoha village, he deliberately left a mark coordinate on Black Zetsu's body. This coordinate directly led to Shiraishi's special secret room. It was obvious that Master Kazekage's purpose in inviting him over was not simple. This was Black Zetsu's instinct. He believed in his own judgment, and this was how he had been spending his time over the past 1000 years. Regarding Black Zetsu, Shiraishi didn't want to beat around the bush and explained his purpose directly. I can help you collect the tailed beasts and you read books www.ukanshu.net to complete the resurrection of the ten tails. With the memories of Naruto's world in Mirror Traveler, Shiraishi does not need Yamato to continue collecting intelligence in the future, so he carries out effective targeting and arrangements according to the so-called plot point, directly stating that he knew Black Zetsu's background, that he was the third son of Otsutsuki Kaguya. This was too shocking, so Shiraishi chose to resurrect the ten tails as a trade object to lure Black Zetsu. To cooperate with him, point-appropriate information is enough to lure Black Zetsu into taking the bait. The capture of the nine-tailed beasts was naturally completed by Sunagakure. Haha, this kind of matter should be negotiated with that Uchiha Madara or the Akatsuki leader Pain. I can't make the decision. Black Zetsu is still very cautious, and he will not expose himself easily until Beishi's intention is clear. Before the Ninja World War breaks out, I will go directly to the Land of Rain to seize the Rinnegan Eye from Nagato. Akatsuki has lost the Rinnegan Eye. Will the early tail beast collection work go smoothly? Shiraishi's words made Hei Zetsu's expression change drastically. Chapter 357, Sisterhood comes to visit. Shiraishi's proposal made Hei Zetsu shameless. Under this series of threats and inducements, the mastermind who had hidden the ninja world for thousands of years finally had a hint of excitement. Resurrection of the ten tails. What is this Kazekage's real plan? Seeing Black Zetsu's confused look, Shiraishi's expression remained unchanged. Uchiha Madara wants to use the ten tails to create a world without disputes, and I also need the power of the ten tails to conquer the entire ninja world and complete the complete unification. You already have invincible power. Why do you need the ten tails? Even if Madara needs to be resurrected as you said, what's the point of setting up an opponent out of thin air? Shiraishi's words are a bit far-fetched. Since he wants to unify the ninja world, why bother to create another rival and enemy? Haha, I just want to defeat the real ninja Shura to prove that I'm not the contemporary Uchiha Madara, but Aoki Shiraishi. Hei Zetsu was very cautious. The Kazekage in front of him was by no means such a simple character. He offered to cooperate, so he had to deal with it carefully. However, Shiraishi's words and remarks made Hei Zetsu believe it. Black Zetsu has seen too many of these powerful men who have dominated the ninja world for an era, and they are also arrogant to the extreme. With Aoki Shiraishi's strength reaching this level, he naturally needs to prove that he has surpassed Uchiha Madara. In fact, for Shiraishi, the secret contained in Kaguya is to explore the truth of the world. Although the glasses system did not assign any tasks and just unlocked cards to strengthen itself, Shiraishi was keenly aware that one of its ultimate goals might be Princess Kaguya. Only by meeting Kaguya in person can you confirm some things for yourself. The truth about this world, as well as my own origin and life experience. With this idea in mind, Shiraishi decided to accelerate the Ten Tails plan. Compared to Obito, who was unreliable, he was obviously more reliable. Seeing that Zetsu hadn't spoken yet, Shiraishi spoke softly. Part of your plan involves the resurrection of the real Madara Uchiha. The fake Uchiha Madara on the stage is just a clown. The opponent you really need to pay attention to is Uchiha Madara, the Shura of the former ninja world. Beishi's words made Heiju move his lips but said nothing. He did not expect that Feng Ying's information could be grasped to this extent, but now he was still thinking, and did not answer. The leader of the Akatsuki organization is the owner of the Rinnegan Eye, and based on the biological research conducted by Orochimaru and I, we found that to activate the Rinnegan Eye, we must have Senju Hashiramas would release cells combined with the Uchiha family's blood successor, Orochimaru. That bastard did such messy research with the Kazekage behind the organization's back. Shiraishi didn't care whether he had tricked Orochimaru or not. He slowly walked forward and handed a large amount of research data to Hei Zetsu. He also didn't care whether Hei Zetsu understood the information. It explained the research results and findings in detail. In order for Hei Zetsu to take the bait, even part of the information about the reincarnation eye was recorded in the data. This made Hei Zetsu believe that Shiraishi had learned a lot of inside information and even found out the source of the blood inheritance, which was his own mother. Kazekage-sama is really confident regarding Ju's deliberate guidance, Shiraishi did not show any emotion. No, I'm just curious about how strong Uchiha Madara is. Combining the power of the two blood successors of Senju and Uchiha, plus the combination of the Samsararai and the Ten Tails. Seeing that Kuro refused to speak, Shiraishi continued, that masked man is still not smart enough, and has his own selfish intentions. The leader of Akatsuki seems to be more addicted to the game of becoming a god. In addition, the Sunagakure village is now the strongest in the ninja world. If there is, can Madara's plan continue smoothly? The existence of Sunagakure village completely blocked the plans of the Akatsuki organization, because the one-tailed Jinchuriki currently lived in Sunagakure village, and the cost of invading Sunagakure village was much higher than invading a single Konoha point. The iron-headed Mao mission has already suffered a lot. Therefore, Shiraishi's problem is also a headache for the Akatsuki and others. Nagato originally planned to let Pain take action. Although these 6 Rinnegan clones are very strong, it is too difficult to conquer Sunagakure and expose the organization's trump card too early. The order of catching tailed beasts must start from the first tail. From this step, Akatsuki will be directly stuck. This is an opportunity. Maybe this time we can use this wind shadow to resurrect the mother. For the first time in thousands of years, Black Zetsu felt that he was so close to his goal. Since this Kazekage was so arrogant, he should cooperate with him in executing the tailed beast's plan. In Beisha's home, Fat Orange was lazily basking in the sun, but soon he woke up and looked at the woman who appeared at the door with great horror, wearing simple and neat clothes. Uezukaritsu stood at the door of Beishi with an expression as usual, showing a kind smile. Hello, madam, I'm Uezukaritsu, the current person in charge of the medical class. The origin of Unohanaritsu is a mystery. Many people speculate that she comes from Ryuji Cave like White Snake Princess, and some people think that she comes from the demon country in the eastern continent. In short, in Sunagakure village, this gentle and outstanding medical ninjutsu, the Unohanaritsu jounin, is the subject of speculation by many people in Sunagakure. Even Chiyo's mother-in-law was amazed by Unohanaritsu's abilities during a special exchange. Although her medical ninjutsu was simple, some of the ideas in it were even Chiyo's first time hearing about them. The reason why he took the initiative to visit Shiraishi's house this time was because Maki was a little weak during this period, so Ritsu Unohana took care of his body. Under the sunshine, the Shiraishi family looked particularly gentle. Unohanaritsu smiled after performing a basic check. Your health is not serious, madam. Please don't work too hard on weekdays. As one of the leaders of the ninja school, Juan's focus is not only on educating Shigeru Aoki, but also the main focus on the ninja school. Although the work has been gradually handed over to others over the years, Juan is also the same as Shiraishi. Reading www.ukashu.net. Sometimes I work too hard. Thank you, Sister Mayozahuali. Although he didn't know how old Unohanaritsu was, Juan was pretty sure that this woman was much older than him. Compared to the White Snake Princess, Unohanaritsu left a good impression on Juan. Such a woman gave people a feeling of being strong and dependable. No wonder her husband valued her so much. As Mrs. Kazekage, Maki will not be jealous or suspicious of anything. Ritsu Unohana's qualities are that of the most professional medical ninja, which is enough to show that her husband has no problem with his vision of people. This cat is so cute looking. At Fat Orange with a smile, the fat cat was sweating all over. Even though it had already completed its transformation, when faced with Yuzuki Floweritsu, this powerful creature was just an ordinary cute cat. While Uozuhole and Juan were chatting, Fat Cat pretended to be crazy and rolled on the ground repeatedly. This woman is so scary. Is she really just a doctor? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 358, Zyro's Movements. I'm back. When Shigeru Aoki returned home, as soon as he stepped into the door of his house, he saw Fat Orange rolling all over the floor and being cute. He couldn't help but smile. Orange, what are you doing again? Seeing the little master coming back, Fat Orange showed a pleased look. twisted his fat ass, and rubbed against Shigeru Aoki. Fat Orange, who had watched Aoki Shigeru grow up since childhood, was particularly gentle to Aoki Shigeru. Several times when Jounin and Shiraishi were not at home, Fat Orange would help take care of the young Aoki Shigeru at that time. Therefore, the relationship between one person and one cat is very close. However, although Fat Orange is still rubbing against Aoki Shigeru today, his eyes are still very worried, looking in the direction of Maki and Unohanaritsu. Aoki Shigeru knew Unohanaritsu because the new medical class leader had given lessons to their class in the medical department some time ago. At that time, Aoki Shigeru remembered this erudite female jounin. Fat Orange is very sensitive. To be able to make it so nervous as Sahilai may be very strong. Thinking of this, Aoki Shigeru showed a very respectful attitude and greeted Maki and Unohanaritsu. Teacher. Unohana looking at the polite Aoki Shigeru in front of him, Jounin slowly stood up and smiled. You're welcome, Mr. Kazekage. I'm here today for my visit. I'll take my leave first, madam. Well, Ma will send the teacher off. Looking at Aoki Shigeru, who walked him to the door meticulously, Unohanaritsu smiled. Goodbye then, Mr. Kazekage. Looking at Uosuhilai's back, Aoki Shigeru slowly closed the door. However, during the process of closing the door, Shigeru Aoki's palms were sweating a lot. Although Unohanaritsu didn't mean it, the aura that was invisibly released during the exchange just now made Aoki Shigeru a little scared. Tailed beast capture plan. Sunagakure plans to execute it alone. In Shiraishi's office, the negotiation between Black Zetsu and Shiraishi entered the last key issue, which was the tailed beast capture plan. Yes, what? About Akatsuki. Black Zetsu's final concern was that there were Obito and Nagato on Akatsuki's side, and it would be very risky for him to directly bypass them and cooperate with Sunagakure. What I said before was not a joke. No matter what happens, I will capture the samurai myself. As for that Uchiha Madara, it is up to you to convince him to let Akatsuki secretly cooperate with us Sunagakure at a deeper level. When Akatsuki and Iwakaku, led by Nagato, prepared to cooperate, Shiraishi decided to abandon this chess piece and capture the Rinnegan. Sending Uchiha Kid and Deidara to join Akatsuki is also preparation for the final attack, because Shiraishi needs to take down Akatsuki in one fell swoop, and the fewer participants in this plan, the better. Black Zetsu shook his head. If you want to seize the Rinnegan Eye, then Madara Uchiha on the table will not cooperate with you. At least we need one of the Rinnegan Eyes. The samurai owned by Nagato is known as the Eye that controls life and death. It is the most noble pupil power, the ultimate pupil technique derived from the chakra fruit of the sacred tree. The owner of the samurai controls yin and yang, has at least 6 changes in chakra properties, and has extraordinary abilities. He can be a god of creation with the ability to create the world, or a god of destruction with the ability to destroy the world. At the same time, the owner of the samurai is also the only method that can defend and crack the infinite Tsukuyomi. The samurai is divided into 3 types: purple, red, and yellow. If the holder has 2 samurais, it will appear in the shape of Magatama. Some people have a single samurai, which appears in the shape of 6 Magatama. It has no evolutionary relationship with the Sharingan. It is the fusion of the power of Indra and Ajura, which leads to the power of the 6 paths, and obtains a new pupil technique, the Rinnegan, which covers the original pupil technique, the Sharingan. The 2 are independent of each other, and need to switch between each other when using corresponding powers. How could Shiraishi let such a powerful blood successor go? In the past, he was allowed to stay with Nagato, because many intelligence and information investigations were not enough. Now that the time is gradually ripe, the samurai will naturally not be left to that boy Nagato. On the other hand, Obito personally performed the infinite moon reading for his own selfish reasons. How could Kurozetsu not see it, now that he is wary of Nagato's strength and Akatsuki has not yet started collecting tailed beasts? Obito needs to keep Nagato. If Shiraishi takes action to capture the Rinnegan Eye, it will destroy Obito's own plan. Then how can he cooperate with Sunagakure? Black Zetsu believes that he has a thorough grasp of people's hearts, not to mention that he also needs Obito and the resurrected Uchiha Madara in the future to contain the Kazekage, of which the Rinnegan Eye is crucial. So his final bottom line was that one of Nagato's 2 reincarnation eyes must be left to Obito. Shiraishi acquiesced to this condition, but since the 2 parties have established a cooperative relationship, Sunagakure must provide all kinds of intelligence and information collected from the ninja continent over the years. Zetsu, who has special sensory abilities, is a very special existence in the ninja world in terms of collecting geographical intelligence information. With the help of his secret skills, Sunagakure will have a higher chance of winning in the ninja world war. I understand, and I look forward to our future cooperation. Looking at the traces of Zetsu's disappearance, Shiraishi's face showed a hint of coldness. Hey, Zetsu was much more cautious than he thought, but now that the initiative was in Sunagakure's hands, he would have much less choice. In today's world, Shiraishi needs to be careful when dealing with the mother that Black Zetsu longed to resurrect, the original origin of the ninja world, Otsutsuki Kaguya. This woman who possesses the 3 major pupil techniques of Byakugan, Sharingan, and Rinnegan, and is the source of all blood inheritance, may have been an existence that Shiraishi needed to look up to in the past. However, as her own strength continued to grow, Shiraishi regarded Kaguya Otsutsuki as this woman. The world is a virus. In addition, other members of the Otsutsuki family may also be peeping at the ninja world from the dark. What a disgusting existence. Shiraishi doesn't care about Black Zetsu's promise, although he expressed his willingness to cooperate with Sunagakure in the plan to capture tailed beasts. Reading WW Kanshu. Net, but it doesn't mean that he will bet everything on Sunagakure. The basic framework of the Akatsuki organization's 10 members, including Orochimaru, has been completed, except for Kidachiha, who will join to represent Suzaku. Each of the remaining members is an S-class rebel ninja from each village. This way, their strength is extremely high. Confidence. In addition to Black Zetsu, Uchiha Kid arranged by Shiraishi finally connected with Uchiha Obito. In the land of rain, rain continued to drip. Kid Uchiha, dressed in a bamboo hat, took a deep breath and slowly entered the land of rain. The moment he stepped in, he felt the probing and sensing chakra contained in the falling rain. Nagato, compared with before, his range of perception has spread throughout the Rain Kingdom, which shows that his control over the entire Rain Kingdom has reached a very high level. PS. Today I will start a 3-day paid travel vacation. The 2 days of manuscript deposit have been scheduled. I will publish 1 chapter each in the early morning and noon. On the last day, after I go home on Saturday, I will type when I have time, but if I don't, I will have to take a day off. Chapter 359. Codename Suzaku. Just as Uchiha Kid slowly stepped into the Kingdom of Rain, in the core of the Kingdom of Rain, Nagato, who transformed into Pain of Heaven, stared at everything in the distance. If we further strengthen our cooperation with the Iwa Ninja, we will inevitably have a complete confrontation with Sunagakure. Although Jounin unconditionally supports Nagato's decision, the risk of starting a direct war with Sunagakure is too high. These years of training have made Nagato very confident in his own strength. He even thinks that he can fight with the 5th Kazekage, so he established his relationship with I with a general policy of tolerance and cooperation. Jounin, you have to understand that Yuu's problems must always be solved. Compared to other tailed beasts, Sunagakure with one tail is like a thorn in Akatsuki's heart. Only by pulling it out can Akatsuki's current predicament be solved. That's why Nagato decided to cooperate with the Iwa Ninja and participate in the muddy waters of the Ninja World War. When others cause us pain, if we want to avoid conflicts, we can only create peace by letting the perpetrator shed the same tears and understand our pain. But if we only use negotiation, even if we understand what will happen, others cannot feel your pain. So if you want to truly understand each other, you can only understand each other by making them feel the same pain and pay the same price. Only by feeling the pain can you cherish peace. Sunagakure is now the source of the largest war in the world. Nagato's purpose is very simple, which is to let the Kazekage feel the pain of labor, so that he will understand the value of peace instead of creating great ninja wars again and again. It is obvious that as the structure of the ninja world changes, Nagato regards Sunagakure as his biggest enemy. This is also the reason why Nagato and Obito have different personalities. Now that he is gradually claiming to be a god, he naturally wants to fight Shiraishi in an upright and fair manner to complete his ideals. Also, Uchiha Madara recommends a new partner to join us. It's Uchiha Itachi. I remember that Obito mentioned that Uchiha Itachi was about to join Akatsuki, but after this period of time passed, Itachi not only showed no sign of joining, but even got better at Konoha. It's not Kid Uchiha, he's still alive. The burning of Konoha shocked the ninja world too much. Kid Uchiha was called the most vicious rebellious ninja in history. Even Nagato had to admire this man's courage and strength. Jounin frowned and elaborated on the information collected. Yes, it is said that his strength has recovered a lot, and now Madara is on the way here with him. Slowly reaching out his hand, feeling the changes in the rain, Nagato's Tendo Pain said calmly, "They have arrived." As soon as the words finished, Uchiha Obito and Uchiha Kid appeared outside the Rain Country Tower and slowly walked towards the core area of the Akatsuki organization point. After a long time, Uchiha Kid and Obito were seen walking up the steps step by step, looking at Nagato, the nominal leader of the Akatsuki organization. Jounin on the side looked at Uchiha Kid very cautiously. This guy's deeds in Konoha have caused a sensation in the entire ninja world. Coupled with his weird red sun jutsu, it is almost known as the most vicious and massively destructive ninjutsu in the ninja world. Now that there is such a dangerous existence, and the Rain Country is ready to join the Akatsuki, even those who specialize in taking in rebellious nins have to treat it seriously. However, Nagato didn't have any special emotions inside. He had already claimed to be a god, so naturally he didn't think that he would be intimidated by a mere mortal. Obito didn't seem to be used to pain. Thinking about life like this every day, he coughed a few times and walked forward. "Pain, this is your new partner." Nodding lightly, the moment Pain looked at Uchiha Kid, the huge chakra aura from his body rushed towards his face and rushed directly towards Uchiha Kid. Very strong momentum. Uchiha Kid is now wearing the red cloud black robe of the Akatsuki organization. Although this is not the first time he has worn it, Uchiha Kid has a cold expression when faced with Pain's domineering chakra aura. Compared with Uchiha Itachi, who originally joined Akatsuki in history, Uchiha Kid is obviously less popular with Akatsuki's senior leaders, such as Jounin, Nagato, and Obito, who was tricked by Itachi several times. Perhaps from the beginning, both Pain and Obito hoped to recruit the partner Itachi Uchiha rather than Mr. Kid Uchiha, who appeared from nowhere. As the two looked at each other, Uchiha Kid discovered that Nagato's own eye power did not seem to be as domineering and fierce as when the Rain Country first saw it. Although the various secret techniques and strengths he has developed are increasing day by day, his vitality is still being overdrawn in order to maintain the consumption of the Samsara. After looking at each other for a few seconds, Uchiha Kid's main Juki Sharingan opened his eyes, and the spark energy bursting around him collided with the aura of Tendo Pain, and the atmosphere at the scene became extremely heated for a while. After the confrontation ended, Nagato nodded and said very coldly, "You have strong eye power, and you are worthy of being the man who severely damaged Konoha." Uchiha Kid, who pretended to be very surprised when he saw the Rinnegan eye, took a few steps back. "Chief, your Rinnegan eye scared me." Ignoring Uchiha Kid's compliment, Pain took out the ring representing Suzaku and handed it to Uchiha Kid. "From today on, you are codenamed Suzaku, Kid." Uchiha's codename is Suzaku, and his partner is Kisame Nagansuki. Looking at Uchiha Kid's retreating figure, Jounin showed a hint of worry. This person seems to be difficult to control. Never mind, the process of beating Kid Uchiha and Kisame Nagansuki was very simple. After all these years of dormancy, Kisame Nagansuki lost everything, including his faith in Shirogakure village. A simple and pure ninja, so he doesn't care who his partner is, as long as he can complete the task successfully. In order to introduce Uchiha Kid, UU Reading www.uka.net. Pain specially used the magic lantern body technique to bring together all members of the Akatsuki organization. This forbidden technique is used by the ring holder to emit waves of thoughts converted with chakra, and as the leader, Pain receives these waves, amplifies these waves of thoughts, and then manifests the illusion in a specific place. This illusion is different from ordinary images. If it is transferred through pain, various ninjutsu can be activated. Uchihaki's fame has now spread throughout the ninja world, and several members, including Scorpion, didn't have any objections when they learned that such a ruthless character had joined Akatsuki Point. Only Orochimaru showed greedy eyes towards Uchiha and chuckled while licking him with his tongue. Uchiha Kid, how wonderful and outstanding will your Sharingan be compared to Itachi? Obviously, Orochimaru still has a lot of expectations for Uchiha Kid, especially the pair of Sharingan eyes that control flames. After all, this Uchiha Kid was the one who killed his teacher. At this moment, Orochimaru really wanted to meet this Uchiha Kid and see how powerful he really was. Chapter 360. In front of these eyes, you are nothing. Kazekage-sama, let's get started. In Sunagakure's secret training base, Unohana-ritsu and Shiraishi were facing each other on both sides. At this moment, Unohana-ritsu slowly pulled out his soul-cutting sword and looked at Shiraishi with sharp eyes. Sorry to trouble you, Sister Hua. At this stage, the way to improve Shiraishi's strength and practice is to engage in real life and death battles with Unohana-ritsu and improve his own strength through countless life and death trials. Unohana-ritsu, who was boiling with murderous intent, held his own soul-cutting sword, and his figure turned into a ghost and attacked. Shiraishi was motionless, and the Shinto heavenly sword in his hand condensed a sharp sword light, blocking Unohana-ritsu's first sword point. This is Shiraishi using the sword dance in the skill card to create a cyclone, which can cleverly resolve part of the physical offensive. Interesting technique, but unfortunately it didn't hit me. At some point, Uozukaritsu's soul-cutting sword changed its attack angle and suddenly opened a scar on Shiraishi's body, and blood suddenly spattered out. Beishi used inorganic reincarnation and saw the wounds on his body quickly repaired bit by bit. Speed and strength. Sister Hua has improved a lot compared to when she first woke up. Mentioning this, Uozuka narrowed his eyes. Although the recovery of spiritual power is very slow, my state is still recovering. In order to deal with the invisible empire, Unohana-ritsu's final training on Zaraki Kenpachi consumed the spiritual power of the waves. Although his soul state was repaired when he came to this world, it was not in a complete state point to return to his peak strength. It will take at least a few years of training, but Unohana-ritsu's combat power is actually much stronger now than when he first met Shiraishi. Seeing only a flying shadow, Unohana-ritsu directly launched the second round of attacks. The attack method of the knife path was the same as before. In an endless stream, there were endless killing moves containing various changes. The more Shiraishi fought in the process of resisting, the more he became more and more fierce. Shocked. Although the divine sword of heaven was in his hand, Shiraishi was unable to exert much of his original strength due to Unohana-ritsu's attack point in a purely physical kendo confrontation. Unohana-ritsu has mastered the 8000 style kendo, and his experience and knowledge are far superior to his own. Any change of moves contains 6 or 7 school style combinations, and the moves and routines are almost the same. Within a few minutes, Shiraishi had a lot of scars on his body. However, thanks to the special function of inorganic reincarnation, the body's injuries continued to recover. Mayozuhuli was amazed to see it. At this time, Unohana-ritsu slowly stepped forward, and the sword light released by the soul-cutting sword in his hand cut across the distance and struck directly at Shiraishi. The power condensed on the blade seemed to absorb all the surrounding brilliance, making itself brighter and purer, making the white stone area darker and darker, and all kinds of hidden dangers brewing in the depths. Unohana-ritsu's training is actually to improve Shiraishi's combat perception. As Shiraishi's strength has grown stronger over the years, he has encountered fewer and fewer real life and death battles. Relatively speaking, his body has become more and more sluggish. This sluggishness refers to a keen sense. Therefore, Unohana-ritsu's sword light will force Shiraishi to recover a little bit in the purest way of killing. Maybe, in this world, your strength has already reached its peak, but there are countless strong people in the world. Losing your sense of smell in battle may cause you to suffer big losses in future battles, or even lose your life. Unohana-ritsu's soul-severing sword slashed down again, and blood suddenly erupted from Shiraishi's back, with bright red color spilling all over the ground, indicating that Unohanaritsu was currently fighting with all his strength. Unohanaritsu took a gentle step, and her body flew out gracefully from the circling soul-cutting sword, running around the opponent at high speed, leaving countless similar after images in the blink of an eye. During the process of shooting out countless sword lights, it gave people a deep and terrifying feeling, like a downpour, covering the white stone. Sister. You are really going to kill me? Shiraishi only felt that Unohanaritsu's battle was becoming more and more fierce, and the more he fought, the more pressure he felt. However, during the avoidance process, Shiraishi gradually found a sense. This gradually regained feeling of fighting made his eyes sharper, and he directly avoided one of Unohanaritsu's slashes. I am fighting now with the determination to kill you. It seemed that he had successfully avoided it, but in fact, Unohanaritsu had just cast a special ice mirror illusion. Among the several blade attacks, one of them was an illusory bubble, so it directly pierced Shiraishi's arm. However, the latter also used the Shinto heavenly sword to cut off a strong vortex of airflow, forcing Unohanaritsu back. Thanks. A few months later, after Kazekage and Kasame successfully formed a team, the two were preparing to leave the country of rain to perform a mercenary mission, but unexpectedly encountered Orochimaru on the road. It's Orochimaru. Staring at Orochimaru's eyes, Kazekage sneered, naturally knowing what this poisonous snake was thinking. Now he's drawing attention to himself. Kasame, please leave first. Kasame. Kisaki, who was about to say something, looked at Kazekage's faint eyes and Orochimaru's greedy look, and took the lead to leave early with Samehada in hand. Haha, you choose to stay alone. Orochimaru's voice was full of coldness and weirdness. As he inherited the legacy of Raichid, his soul state was more complete, and he was more resistant to illusions than at the same time in history. In the past, the Uchiha family Sharingan had a restraining effect on him, but now he is not afraid of the pair of main Gekkai Sharingan in front of him. After all, Kazekage is not famous for illusions. Therefore, the moment Orochimaru saw Kasame walking away, he took action directly, and powerful mental power instantly enveloped Kazekage. After experiencing the battle in Konoha, Kazekage lost a lot of power, so his current state is definitely very weak. Orochimaru is greedy for the perfect Uchiha blood successor. Reading www.ukanshu.net, although Uchiha Itachi was his first consideration. Due to the current Konoha environment, he was not suitable to take action, so he put his mind on Kazekage. Countless venomous snakes poured out from all directions, trying to devour Kazekage. At that moment, a terrifying coldness spread from Kazekage's body. Orochimaru tried to use Jinjutsu to control Ki Uchiha, but he didn't expect that he directly used the extremely cold flame to trick Orochimaru. The cold silver flames burned in Kazekage's hands, and his eyes slowly activated the main Gekkai Sharingan. In the same way as Uchiha Itachi treated Orochimaru in history, Kune instantly cut off Orochimaru's arm. Orochimaru, you are nothing in front of these eyes. With cold words, Kazekage looked at Orochimaru, who was running away, with a hint of chill in his eyes. Orochimaru, it's getting harder and harder to control now. P.S. I will try my best to make up the 2 chapters on Saturday at night, but they will definitely be gone in the early morning. Chapter 361, Horrified Orochimaru. Orochimaru was very frightened. Using Raichi Cave Senjutsu's inorganic reincarnation and his own biological cell technology, Orochimaru's body was replaced with a brand new arm almost instantly. What really frightened him was Kazekage's identity. Kazekage did not use pure illusion to deal with him, but during the brief confrontation between the two sides, Orochimaru noticed a trace of Shiraishi's will, and the aura of the 5th Kazekage indicates that the inside of Akatsuki may have been penetrated by Sunagakure. Recently, he has cooperated with Konoha to continuously improve the reincarnation of the Dirty Land, and the Kazekage may have noticed it. The reincarnation of the Dirty Land is an important bargaining chip for Orochimaru to reverse the Ninja World War. His current improved version for the 2nd Hokage can already allow the resurrected person to exert 1/5 of his original power. This is already a big improvement. As for subsequent adjustments, Orochimaru is confident that they will be able to exert more and more complete power for the survival of Konoha. These dead people will probably go all out to fight, even if they don't need to be controlled by themselves. This makes it easier for Orochimaru to control them after they are reincarnated, and they can just be put into the battlefield. Orochimaru, who had calculated these accurately, used this bargaining chip to cooperate and negotiate with Konoha. Because the matter was so important, although Orochimaru had technical cooperation with Danzo, the core aspects were still known to Tsunade. Although he rejects this method of using the dead, Konoha is now in a desperate situation. Let Orochimaru summon the past heroes of Konoha, which may be the last method to be used. In view of this, Tsunade reluctantly agreed to cooperate with Orochimaru and let him start researching and improving the reincarnation of the Dirty Land. As for the living sacrifice and the reincarnation of the earth, Orochimaru took into account the views of Tsunade and some people in Konoha, and chose to use white Zetsu cells as clone culture to create a cloned would escape cell life form in the Rigid style. Although the number is rare compared to ordinary living people, the defective products cultivated using would escape cells can allow the resurrected to exert stronger combat effectiveness. Orochimaru knew very well that generally dealing with Konoha, including many forbidden and secret techniques, the Kazekage might not pay too much attention to, but the matter of reincarnation in the Dirty Land would definitely make Sunagakure hunt him down in all aspects. So Orochimaru, who felt guilty, saw the remaining white stone aura on Uchiha and the Konoha-sen and fled directly, leaving behind an embarrassed Kiseki. Although one arm was cut off. You are not so panicked, right? Perhaps you were frightened by what I just said. The fact that Orochimaru escaped confirmed Shiraishi's speculation, and there was a hint of danger in Uchiha's eyes. This Orochimaru actually turned to Konoha. In the world of conscious thought, Beishi rarely had any fluctuations in his emotions, but he quickly restrained them with all his strength. Deidara, are you nearby? Yes, my earth escape sense can detect the movement of Orochimaru's chakra. He is running away at almost the fastest speed now. After sneering a few times, Deidara quickly put on the silver mask of Shiraishi's consciousness. Suddenly, Shiraishi's true consciousness was projected, and a violent wave of power appeared outside the entire rain country. Why did this guy Kazekage appear near the land of rain? Could it be that he really intends to seize Nagato's reincarnation eye? Although Zetsu agreed to cooperate with Shiraishi, he had no intention of actually handing over Nagato and Obito. Sunagakure's tailed beast capture plan and Akatsuki's tailed beast capture plan could be placed at the same time, and then he would step by step perform boot control. Zetsu, who considered himself the #1 mastermind behind the shinobi world, had just returned to the land of rain to plan the follow-up actions. As a result, Shiraishi's chakra also appeared, and his unabashed domineering aura made Zetsu look a bit ugly. The clothes of Hangan's black robe were covered with countless sand silver, turning into a silver robe. From a distance, they looked like silver clothes, but in fact they were personal protective clothing, made of countless magnetic shields. Compared with the past, when he used countless magnetic escapes to form a ball to activate absolute defense, now Shiraishi uses this method to save his own chakra, and has stronger control and more perfect protection. The moment the Dragon Seal Sage mode was activated, the white stone spewed out countless silver dust, instantly covering the entire surrounding area. Orochimaru, who was escaping underground, suddenly felt a heavy pressure that prevented him from moving any further. Orochimaru emerged from the mudslide with a cold expression, feeling the familiar chakra fluctuations. He quickly took out the Kusanagi sword from his body and assumed a fighting posture. Senior Orochimaru, why are you so panicked? Shiraishi walked very leisurely, holding the divine sword of heaven, as if he was taking a leisurely stroll, and slowly walked up to Orochimaru. But after just one encounter, Orochimaru felt a stronger pressure than just before. Uchiha Kazekage, what do you want to do? I originally just wanted to confirm, but now it seems that it is not necessary. After all, he is a senior trained by Konoha. It is normal to have some thoughts in his heart. If it was a normal cooperation, Shiraishi would not appear in person, but Shiraishi, who had understood the plot and knew about the big killer weapon of the reincarnation of the earth, had to pay attention to Orochimaru's every move point. However, now it is discovered that Orochimaru has really defected to Konoha, so Shiraishi will not let him go. Orochimaru, as a veteran on the battlefield, could naturally feel the vague murderous intention in Shiraishi. Even thinking along with Shiraishi's thought, the murderous intention spread like a violent storm and rushed directly towards Orochimaru. The surrounding animals were frightened by this momentum and fled frantically from the battlefield between Shiraishi and Orochimaru. Haha, Feng Ying, your murderous intent is too strong. There is no nonsense. You reading www.wakanshu.net. Shiraishi's whirlwind knife suddenly shot out, directly piercing Orochimaru's body protection, and his two arms were cut off instantly. However, at the critical moment, the latter directly used a snake substitute to quickly avoid Shiraishi's killing move. The ordinary whirlwind knife became extremely terrifying in Shiraishi's hands. Countless airflows condensed and then tore out, forming a multi-directional and fierce attack pattern with no dead ends, and the entire area. The surrounding space seemed to be cut open. These whirlwind knives also contained Baisha's silver sand magnetic escape, as well as a large number of small particle regeneration cores. Just now, Orochimaru successfully escaped Shiraishi's killing move, but there was still a trace of scar on his body. Therefore, these tiny particle regeneration cores were directly integrated into Orochimaru's body to form a special alien chakra point. In an instant, Orochimaru's expression changed dramatically, and the magnetic escape energy released by the particle regeneration core echoed with the sand silver outside, and at the same time, interfered with Orochimaru's entire body's chakra operation. Kazekage, you senior, I'm sorry. The moment Shiraishi slowly walked forward, he heard a majestic figure shout from behind. Shinra Tensei. Chapter 362. 6. Pain appears. Although he was on the outskirts of the rain country, Shiraishi's domineering chakra was so dazzling that even without using perception ninjutsu, Shiraishi's existence could be discovered. So Pain took action. Not only Pain, but even Dark Zetsu is thinking about a question. How did Shiraishi move from the kingdom of wind to the kingdom of rain? Could it be that Feng Ying also masters the art of elephant rotation? The so-called Shogun no Jutsu is a ninjutsu in which Pain distributes the chakra of Akatsuki members into human sacrifices to create an exquisitely unified body for fighting. The strength of the same body is determined according to the amount of chakra allocated, and the ability of the body can be used, but the ninjutsu will be automatically cancelled when the chakra is exhausted, and the sacrifice will die immediately. It is a cruel ninjutsu that even consumes the chakra of the sacrifice point. But Zetsu quickly shook his head. This technique requires the amount of chakra corresponding to the sacrifice. Now Shiraishi releases this amount of chakra unless he captures the leaders of the 5 major ninja villages or the core members of Akatsuki. This incident alone made Zetsu feel that Kazekage was becoming more and more mysterious. As for Shiraishi at the scene, while looking at each other with Tendo Pain in front of him, Shiraishi slowly said, "We haven't seen each other for many years." The power of the samurai is getting stronger and stronger. Nagato, Shiraishi, was caught off guard by Shinra Tensei just now and was forced to take a few steps back before barely regaining his balance. In fact, Nagato was even more surprised than Shiraishi now. He was able to stand still after just taking a few steps back under the sudden attack of Shinra Tensei. This Kazekage is indeed the strongest monster in the ninja world. Shinra Tensei is the enchantment technique of the samurai. Centered on himself, he bounces away all surrounding objects. If he gathers huge chakra, he can destroy Konoha with one blow. Create a repulsive force field centered on the Deo of Heaven, producing a gravity-like effect. The greater the repulsion force of Shinra Tensei, the wider the range, and the more chakra is consumed. There is at least a 5-second cooldown time after using Shinra Tensei. The greater the range and power of the spell, the longer the cooldown time. Master, Kazekage showed up in the land of rain to hunt down members of our organization. He acted too carelessly. Although Orochimaru was deflected by Shinra Tensei, it was actually Tendo Pain who saved his life. Otherwise, it would be really difficult for Orochimaru to resist the strange regenerative nuclear particle method created by Shiraishi. What if I must kill Orochimaru today? Facing Shiraishi's words, Tendo Pain quickly formed a seal for the second time. Shinra Tensei, facing The terrifying repulsive force of Shinra Tensei. Shiraishi's round eyes flashed with light, and the gravity technique in the skill card was activated at the same time. The countless sand silvers that were originally restless gradually stabilized and directly blocked the repulsive force of Shinra Tensei. Nagato Shinra Tensei did not go all out, seemingly attacking Shiraishi, but actually giving Orochimaru time to escape. When did Orochimaru deserve Nagato to go all out to protect him? Tendo Pain always responded with a poker face. Orochimaru is a member of the organization. As for Kazekage, why did you show up in the land of rain? Are you going to violate your past agreement? After 2 rounds of battles between Shinra Tensei, Orochimaru had already seized the opportunity to escape. At the same time, Tendo Pain did not leave in a hurry. He started talking to Shiraishi, obviously delaying time. When did Orochimaru have such good luck, or is it that some kind of power and will somewhere in there has improved his luck a lot? The whirlwind sword in his hand gradually condensed, and Shiraishi directly taunted, "You who are cooperating with the Iwa ninja village and preparing to start a ninja war with Sunagakure, do I still have the obligation to tell you this?" The whirlwind knife shot out, but Shiraishi Pain directly used his own Shinra Shinseng to block the whirlwind knife attack. At the same time, Wang Xiang Shianayan grabbed a small stone on the ground, interfering with the trajectory of Shiraishi's attack. Interesting jutsu, but too bad Orochimaru is still in my lock range. As soon as Shiraishi finished speaking, the sand and silver in his hand condensed into a point, which produced a special vibration wave in midair, and immediately opened a spark of light, and exploded directly towards Orochimaru, who was fleeing. In the loud explosion, Orochimaru screamed in agony. The particle regeneration core in his body reacted with Shiraishi's sand silver magnetic escape, and turned into a unique serial explosion technique. Zetsu saw Shiraishi's move and secretly marveled at Kazekage's terrifying chakra control. Orochimaru is not dead. Shiraishi knows this very well. He has mastered Raichi Cave Immortal technique, and is more tenacious than Orochimaru in that comic. His blow just now almost blew Orochimaru's body to pieces, but he still used his substitute at the last moment. Technique to escape. Shiraishi tried to pursue, but he was locked by Tendo Pain, and was temporarily unable to catch up with Orochimaru. Now that the consciousness projection is released, Deidara's identity will inevitably be exposed, so he must first find a way to force Nagato back. In fact, both Shiraishi Pain and Zetsu suspected that Shiraishi must have some special secret skills. When he appeared here, they were only sure of one thing: Shiraishi's true body must still be in Sand Hidden Village. So the principle of this special clone is what? Ju and Shiraishi Pain must find out the reason. The core of the battle between ninjas is enough intelligence and information. Orochimaru has escaped. Nagato, do you want to continue? Shiraishi's response was another round of Shinra's celestial conquest. Nagato's attack was more than expected, but Shiraishi understood Nagato's decision. After thinking about it carefully. The ninja world war is about to begin. Shiraishi is definitely stronger than before, but to what extent he is powerful, we naturally need enough information. Under such circumstances, there is nothing more suitable to serve as a test than Tendo Pain, who is not Nagato's true form. Tendo Pain is much more cautious in fighting than Shiraishi expected. Just now the Kazekage calculated Orochimaru's technique, which is a fine particle chakra ninja tool. Nagato, who possesses a Rinnegan eye, one of the 3 major pupil techniques, has insight beyond Orochimaru, so he can clearly see that there is a large amount of this strange small substance in the flow of magnetic escape silver sand around Shiraishi. Shinra Tensei. UU Reading www.uakshu.net is the best way to counteract the invasion of these ninja tools, not to mention facing the strongest opponent in history. Tendo Pain does not fight alone. A few seconds later, after a burst of smoke, 5 pains from the hungry ghost path, the Shura path, the human path, the animal path, and the hell path also arrived on the battlefield. For the sake of the strongest man in the ninja world in front of him, even Nagato, who claimed to be a god, had to bring out the 6 paths Pain in front of him to fight against him. As for the chance of victory, Nagato put it on the back burner, mainly because he collected information and intelligence, including Shiraishi's special projection technique. Unexpectedly, he was surrounded by 6 paths of pain. Deidara's body under Shiraishi's projection consciousness had a very limited fighting time. Therefore, the moment Shiraishi held the divine sword of heaven, his eyes suddenly changed. A powerful slashing wave blasted out, but the hungry ghost rode within it was the first to take action, preparing to absorb Shiraishi's ninjutsu attack. This is not a ninjutsu. After a flash of light, one of Hungry Ghost Dao's hands was forcibly cut off, while Shiraishi stood motionless, holding the divine sword of heaven without any movement. Chapter 363, Gravity Swordsmanship vs Earth Explosion Star. The appearance of 6 paths pain means that the two sides have officially broken up. Shiraishi cut off Hungry Ghost Path's arm with a sword, because he knew that Hungry Ghost Path's ability can absorb the opponent's chakra point Tendo Pain, controlled by Nagato, now officially challenges Shiraishi. A black light shines in front, forming a unique suction magnetic field, and producing a unique distorted picture point. All things are attracted by heaven, like the Shinra Tensei. They are all special ninjutsu that focus on themselves, and exert a strong attraction to the designated target. The user can freely decide the target attracted by the technique and the intensity of the attraction point according to Shiraishi's understanding. This technique is not only able to attract opponents to oneself. If necessary, this technique can also move designated objects to other places according to one's own wishes. Shion Dao Pain's Vincian Heavenly Yin directly tried to attract Shiraishi to one side this time, but Shiraishi held the Heavenly Dao Divine Sword and made a very free and easy stroke with the long sword. The surrounding ground was shattered, as if it had lost gravity, and floated to the position of Vincian Heavenly Yin. Weightless control. As an advanced skill card, Gravity Technique can not only strengthen gravity in the front, but also control weightlessness in reverse. Combining Gravity Technique with Shiraishi's Divine Sword of Heaven creates a special countermeasure point. In the past, Shiraishi's swordsmanship had successfully integrated the Gravity Technique. Now, Shiraishi has used the special Gravity Technique to reversely develop various deep level applications to enhance his swordsmanship to a stronger level. During the process of the two sides controlling gravity to crush each other, I saw the hands of the Heavenly Dao Pain and the human Dao beside him intertwined. The unique puppet mechanism technique unfolded on the arms, turning into a special Shura attack. Suddenly the purple light turned into a fanatical energy and blasted out. As the purple light approached, everything around the white stone produced a distorted sense of light. The special electromagnetic position formed by the magnetic escape forcibly eliminated the light, and countless sharp-edged missiles fell, forming a terrifying torrent of explosions. At this time, Shion Dao Pain ignored his own chakra consumption and strengthened the strength of the Vincian sky. Under the unique chakra fluctuations produced by his hands, Shiraishi's body was in a state of being pulled. Coupled with the relationship between the gravel group caused by the previous weightlessness, Shiraishi was gradually surrounded among. The 6 paths of pain were aimed at Shiraishi from 6 angles. They seemed to have a numerical advantage, but facing the strongest monster in the ninja world, these pains did not dare to take action rashly. The 6 path pains combination attack is very difficult. The Heavenly Path's Vincian Celestial Drawing attracts Shiraishi, while the Human Path's attack directly uses pure weapons. At this time, the Animal Path also uses psychic skills, releasing dozens of huge creatures to pounce on Shiraishi. Psychicism. Faced with the spiritism of the Animal Path, Shiraishi also used his own spiritism. He saw the desert blood wolf, and the wolf suddenly appeared on one side. The one-eyed blood wolf and the leader let out a wolf howl, and a large number of wolves attacked the army of the Animal Path. The wolves surrounded each giant psychic beast, and the two sides were fighting each other, creating a stalemate. At this moment, a strange bat suddenly appeared in the sky. It laid a bunch of huge eggs, and produced high temperature explosions aimed at Beishi. However, a roar was heard, and the sound waves suddenly shattered the bombs in midair in the smoke generated by the explosion. Only the huge cat's fleshy claws were seen, forcefully swatting away the strange bird. The strange bird caught by this claw was stained with blood, and a bright red gash was cut on its neck, and it looked like it was dying. Obviously, in addition to the desert blood wolf, Shiraishi also channeled Fat Orange to fight, but compared to the usual Fat Orange, which is about the size of a cat at home, its size is now countless times larger. Seeing Fat Orange appear, Ju's face showed a hint of surprise. I always feel like I've seen this cat. before somewhere, but I can't remember it for a while. Although it has the shape of a cat, Fat Orange is extremely agile. With a meow, he leaps forward and swipes his powerful tail quickly, cutting the airflow generated and easily killing 2 centipede psychic beasts the moment it landed. The orange cat mashed its claws down and slapped the face of the other rhinoceros. Then the cat's claws struck at a speed of hundreds per second, and the rhinoceros psychic beast was immediately punched through its body. The powerful fighting power, the mythical beast of the same era as the older mortals of the 3 holy places, showed strong fighting power. Then the orange cat took a proud look at the desert blood wolf who organized a group of wolves to fight. Its nose seemed to have become bigger, and it was very arrogant. The desert blood wolf's face darkened, and its attitude towards the wolves in his tribe became even worse. Under its command, the combat power of the wolves increased several times, and gradually began to suppress those large psychic beasts. While the psychic beasts were fighting each other, the Hell Path successfully cast a spell, perfectly resurrecting the hungry ghost path that had just been destroyed by Shiraishi. The combination of 6 paths pain, including offense, defense, resurrection and psychic, plus the leader Tendo pain. Shiraishi was a little surprised by how tricky it was, although Nagato, who gathers all his power, is stronger alone. In group battles, the 6 path pain works better together. However, you can't defeat me with this method, Nagato. Ignoring Shiraishi's words, Shiandeo Pain quickly launched a new round of attack, projecting a black energy ball in the Vincian Skyyin area. So what about this? Earth Explosion Sky Star. The Earth Blast Star is an enhancement of the Vincian Skyyin. It uses chakra to create an area similar to a black ball, and then forcibly attracts all surrounding objects on a large scale. Not only the designated objects, but also the earth will be attracted. The power of this technique is very terrifying. In the past, Kaguya Otsutsuki was sealed by the Earth Blast Star, which formed the moon in the sky. Under the powerful attraction of the Earth Explosion Star, Shiraishi's body was wrapped in countless rubbles. Hungry Ghost Road appeared on the side at some point and cast a spell to seal it, constantly absorbing the huge chakra in Shiraishi's body. Facing Nagato's sure kill sealing method, Shiraishi held the divine sword of heaven, and his strength began to increase to the extreme. At this time, the orange cat made a leap, and its meat claws quickly aimed at Shiandeo Pain, and attacked. Shiandeo Pain, who was using the Earth Explosion Star, retreated. At the same time, the Hell Deo, Shirodeo, and Human Deo appeared at the same time, blocking Shiandeo Pain from the claw attack from heaven. Under the baptism of powerful explosive force, the bodies of the Human Deo and the Ashura Deo were shattered on the spot. When the Hell Deo tried to use the power of the Psychic King of Hell to resurrect the 2 companions, Fat Orange directly hit the Psychic King of Hell with its tail. How dare this orange cat attack the King of Hell directly? As the first creature in this world, Fat Orange has a sharp eye. The King of Hell summoned by the Hell Realm is a special medium creature just like the God of Death who seals away the corpses. All orange cats are not afraid at all. Unless a true god level powerhouse like Unohana Ritsu appears, the orange cats will be worried. The strength of the orange cat interfered with Nagato's normal combat, and Shiraishi and the sky finally began to fight back. Under the cover of countless magnetic fields, Reading www.ukanshu.net White Stone Dragon Seal Immortal Mode's power was raised to the extreme, and the terrifying airflow generated by the sword's edge exploded with energy, directly attacking the core of the Earth Explosion Star. Gravity swordsmanship, pressure and quick kill. With a bang, the entire outskirts of the Kingdom of Rain felt like the end of the world. The exploding Earth Explosion Star turned into countless torrents of gravel and spread from all directions. Seeing how ferocious Shiraishi was, and how severely depleted his chakra he was, Tendo Pain chose to retreat in desperation. After all, the Hell Path among Pain's 6 realms was severely damaged, and could not function as a resurrection. Pain was deeply afraid of Shiraishi's strength, so he directly chose to evacuate. All things are attracted by heaven, continuing to create a gravitational point around Shiraishi. After delaying time, Shiandeo Pain decisively evacuated the scene. Nagato, how much strength do you think he has displayed? In Akatsuki's core base, faced with Xiaonin's problem, Nagato remained silent for a long time, difficult to judge. Chapter 364. I just want to see Jiraiya. After scaring away pain of heaven with a sword, the white stone slowly fell to the ground. As the silver mask slowly dissipated, Deidara and his original appearance were restored. This battle with the main body consumes too much chakra. The black-haired Deidara formed a seal with his hands to perform the sand gathering technique, and in the process of constantly repairing his own loss of chakra, he set his sights on Orochimaru in the distance point at the same time that he had a conflict with Orochimaru. The relevant information had been passed on to the roots of Konoha by that person point as Orochimaru's most important assistant. Perhaps he never thought that this guy was a spy from all sides, including Konoha, Orochimaru himself and the Red Sand Scorpion point at the same time. Orochimaru suffered 2 serious injuries, and his body was already weak. Although he reluctantly used inorganic reincarnation to continuously repair his injured body along the way, the terrifying chakra power remaining in his body made him weaker and weaker. Orochimaru knew very well that Shiraishi must have other backups, and even some people around him were not safe, so he chose to escape towards Konoha Point. When he stepped into one of the dense forests, Orochimaru showed a nostalgic look. When the lush jungle flashed before his eyes, he seemed to see himself, Jiraiya, and Tsunade when he was a child. The dense forest, where the land of rain meets Konoha, was the farthest the 3 of them had ever left Konoha when they were children. They were scolded by the Third Kazekage afterwards, but at that time it was always Jiraiya who received the most scolding for some reason. Orochimaru had a smile on his face, but soon his body started to cough violently. Orochimaru, whose soul has been strengthened, no longer needs to use the art of reincarnation. However, in the current situation, his soul seems to be burning in pain. After investigation, it is found that a special green flame is burning deep in his soul. It is obvious that the special regeneration core the cells directly release the terrifying power of green flames. When they explode, the most powerful monster in the ninja world actually used poison to deal with him. How worried is he about the reincarnation of his own soul? In this state, Orochimaru forcibly performed the reincarnation technique. Orochimaru was afraid that he would die faster. With his soul burning in pain, his body was almost in a state of burning flames. Now must not allow the Kazekage to continue scheming. Thinking of this, Orochimaru endured the pain and sat down directly, quickly writing down his thoughts on the reincarnation of the dirty land on a scroll. Konoha's dirt reincarnation is much weaker than the version he is currently researching. It includes many biological cloning technologies, which are information and data that Konoha lacks. The content inside mainly contains some of Orochimaru's ideas and future research and improvement directions. The content in this scroll is very professional, and it is difficult for ordinary ninjas to understand Orochimaru's ideas. But Orochimaru believed that those 2 guys, Tsunade and Jiraiya, could read it. Orochimaru knew very well that the 5th Kazekage was determined to kill him. Since he valued the reincarnation of the earth so much, it meant that this technique would definitely pose a threat to him in the future. Just after Orochimaru spent more than an hour and successfully sealed the tens of thousands of words of information that condensed all his efforts, a careless voice slowly sounded. The dignified Sannin of Konoha had fallen to this level, but for the 5th Kazekage to hunt you down like this, it seems that you have very important value. A mysterious young man with silver hair, dressed in white, and with a special clan emblem on his back, slowly walked out of the dark forest, looking at the injured Orochimaru with a little amusement. After slowly swallowing the scroll, Orochimaru smiled like a sick man. Haha, who are you? An existence that you cannot understand. Now I just want to know what secrets you hold that can make the 5th Kazekage so nervous. Maybe I can help you. Ignoring the young man's inquiry, Orochimaru put his hands in a fighting stance, and countless poisonous snakes quickly attacked the mysterious young man. Hey, you haven't answered my question yet. He ignored the young man, but Orochimaru didn't believe the young man in front of him. The clothes he wore should be the costumes of the ninja sect in history, and the clan emblem on the back reminded him of an extremely ancient blood family. Otsutsuki clan. Orochimaru has already done some research on the origin of the ninja world. Under the guidance of Shiraishi, Orochimaru conducted in-depth investigations into the history of the Otsutsuki clan and gradually gained some information. Although the investigation content is limited, Orochimaru naturally has his own conclusion. The Otsutsuki clan is definitely not a good person. When the poisonous snake under his feet was instantly shattered, the silver-haired young man gently pressed Orochimaru's hand and smiled. This smile sounded strange to Orochimaru, and in a flash of lightning, he directly used his own strength to forcefully remove one of Orochimaru's arms and pull it off. "You told me not to be so hostile to me, huh?" Just when the young man stepped forward, he saw that the fallen Orochimaru turned into a peeling substitute and disappeared before his eyes. TSK, you really know how to escape. One arm was removed, and Orochimaru didn't care at all. He had as many hands as he wanted. Now he had to take the first step and hand over most of the improved information and materials on the reincarnation of the earth to that guy Jiraiya. Orochimaru's escape technique sneaks into the ground. Although it is not as good as Zetsu's wandering, it is currently very fast in the ninja world. As for the silver-haired mysterious young man wearing ninja attire, looking at the direction where Orochimaru is going, a special darkness appears behind him. Cave. Forget it. I don't know if I can see Orochimaru next time. He doesn't seem to have much life left. Yomi. Hiruzen, the space-time ninjutsu used by the Otsutsuki clan using the Rinnegan, is known as appearing from the gate of the underworld in an instant. The powerful shuttle ninjutsu. With this technique, the Otsutsuki clan can flexibly travel through all walks of life without any restrictions in the wilderness. Orochimaru, who was seriously injured, was still running quickly, although he didn't understand why he did this. Orochimaru only had one thing on his mind right now, and that was to meet Jiraiya. When they saw that Konoha village was approaching, countless bonfires slowly burned. Countless root members appeared in the surrounding area, and at the same time, several Earth Escape ninjas used their spells to block Orochimaru's retreat path. Orochimaru, you are in such a mess. Nothing like you. Danzo, holding a cane, staggered out and looked at Orochimaru coldly. Seeing that Danzo appeared, Orochimaru's expression changed, and he said, Danzo ignoring Orochimaru's gaze. Danzo directly lectured, as a rebellious ninja of Konoha, do you have any intentions or plans when you appear outside Konoha? Do you still want to implement your plan to collapse Konoha? The plan for Konoha's collapse was something that Shiraishi had just placed on the desk of Konoha's high-level executives through that person. There were letters written by Orochimaru and Tsukikage themselves, and the evidence was conclusive. At this time, the third Hokage was not dead, but the situation in Konoha was already in crisis. Konoha didn't care that Orochimaru was just trying to trick Inoki, and decided that this guy just wanted Konoha to collapse and be destroyed. Now receiving the news that Orochimaru is approaching Konoha village, Danzo did not wait for Tsunade to make a judgment, and directly led the roots out of the village, blocking Orochimaru's way. From the bottom of his heart, Orochimaru did not trust Danzo, so when he was about to bypass the root personnel and continue to enter, countless kunai and detonating talismans quickly fell and attacked Orochimaru directly. What does this mean? Danzo stepping forward slowly, Danzo said coldly, Orochimaru, don't think about continuing to harm Konoha. Orochimaru, who was severely injured, had no strength to defend himself, and said with difficulty, Danzo, let me meet Jiraiya. How dare you make such a request, even if you are just a traitor? Another news that Danzo received was that Orochimaru may have the most complete information on the reincarnation of the earth, so he planned to entrust it to Jiraiya. So now Danzo is making it clear that he wants to cut off the who. You read the book www.ukanshune take away the information about the reincarnation of the dirty land. In the Kazekage office, a special virtual projection was half kneeling in front of Shiraishi. Looking very respectful. Shiraishi gently put down the pen in his hand and smiled. You did a good job this time, Kabuto. Yes, Kabuto showed a very happy smile after being praised by Lord Kazekage. As Kabuto, who was lurking beside Orochimaru and was Danzo, Scorpion and Kazekage's eyeliner, he had always been doing multifaceted spy work like this, but as he communicated with the Kazekage, Kabuto began to admire Shiraishi more and more, and eventually became his true follower. The detailed information on Konoha's collapse plan was added by Kabuto himself, and handed over to Konoha. Originally, Shiraishi just asked him to tell Danzo that Orochimaru had information on the reincarnation of the earth. But unexpectedly, Kabuto played such a trick causing Konoha's top management to be in chaos. This guy is a great talent, and if he stays with Danzo, he might be able to control the reincarnation of the evil land. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 365, Orochimaru and Danzo. Outside Konoha village, Orochimaru was surrounded by root elites and Danzo. Although his body had been seriously injured, he still maintained his former seinen style. As for Danzo, he walked up with a cane and said, "Orochimaru, you insist on seeing Jiraiya. What's the reason?" As if unaware of Danzo's malicious intentions, Orochimaru smiled. "It's because I have an important piece of information that needs to be entrusted to him." Having said this, Orochimaru took the scroll of reincarnation and improvement in his arms, held it in his hand and slowly walked towards Danzo. "Or, would it be more appropriate to give this thing to you, Danzo?" "Give the things to me. I will hand them over to Jiraiya directly when the time comes." Facing Orochimaru, Danzo didn't want to push too hard. The moment he stepped forward and took the scroll from Orochimaru's hand, Orochimaru snorted coldly, and the scroll in his hand turned into countless venomous snakes and suddenly exploded from Danzo's hand. Come point in the terrifying high temperature explosion, Danzo's body was forcibly injured by Orochimaru. His body seemed to be charred, and he fell to the ground and turned into ashes. Just one surprise attack allowed Orochimaru to successfully plot Danzo's life point. Successfully calculated Danzo, but Orochimaru knew that Danzo, who possessed Ice energy, would not be easily killed. This surprise attack was only the number of times it took to destroy the Sharingan on his body point. Danzo activated Ice energy Sharingan. There were 10 Sharingan in total. This was the limit of the Sharingan's power that his body could withstand. After transplanting mutant cells, those Sharingan cultivated through clone cells could not be used. No matter how powerful the eyes are, the main function is still Ice energy point. As a former collaborator of Danzo, Orochimaru naturally knew all about Danzo's weaknesses and abilities. Danzo, who was resurrected by this illusion again, appeared on the other side. "What a pity, Orochimaru, you actually chose to fight me directly. The third generation is dead. Danzo, you should go down and accompany him." Orochimaru's words were full of sarcasm, and countless venomous snakes spread from all directions. As the White Snake Sage of Devouring Raichi Cave, he had a powerful celestial power as his background point. In order to cope with the desperate situation at hand, countless special rune seals appeared on Orochimaru's body to prevent his physical body from collapsing. At the same time, powerful magical energy filled the entire wilderness. Danzo's face jumped wildly. He didn't expect that Orochimaru, whose soul was severely damaged, could still have such terrifying explosive power in his dying counterattack. "Orochimaru, what an ugly gesture." A figure rushed into the battlefield. As a Burame Ryoma, who is currently second only to Danzo in terms of dominance, and was also Orochimaru's only partner during his brief period of dominance, the two engaged in a fierce battle in mid-air. Realizing the identity of the person who appeared, Orochimaru chuckled a few times. "Ryoma, you have been counterattacked by the power of blood. Are you still qualified to stand in front of me?" A Burame dragon Matthew refining the clan's secret technique was backlashed by a special poisonous insect, and now his body is in dilapidated state. Some time ago, he even recommended a junior from his clan to join the route. I thought he had died from the backlash of the nano-venomous insect, but he didn't expect to be alive. Then give it a try. A special purple poisonous insect light condensed on his fingers, and a Burame Ryoma rushed towards him, only to see Orochimaru turn around quickly. In Sage mode, he had huge horns growing out of his head, making him look ferocious and violent. The high temperature airflow of the explosion formed an energy isolation. As one of the core combat forces of the route, a Burame Ryoma naturally had to test and evaluate Orochimaru's strength for Danzo. The formation of 10,000 snakes. Under the control of Orochimaru, a large number of snakes suddenly appeared from the psychic formation, and continued to flock to a Burame Ryoma, forming tornadoes to continuously attack the enemy. Faced with the siege of snakes, Ryoma Burame drove the nano-venomous insects to hunt. However, Orochimaru's real killing move was not the poisonous snakes, but directly detonating the snakes, resulting in a terrifying high-temperature explosion, forming a terrifying chain of killing moves on the field. Not only Ryoma Aburame, but also many members of the Roots were implicated in the 10,000 snake formations, and died tragically at the hands of Orochimaru. Aburame Ryoma took a few steps back coldly. Although his body was severely injured by the poisonous snake explosion, his fighting spirit was still undiminished, as expected of one of the 3 ninjas in the past. Even if he was injured, he was still an untamable beast. But Orochimaru, you are letting me down. I'm disappointed. Now you still can't escape the influence of the Third Hokage. Haha, he is my teacher. As for you, you are not qualified to comment on the matter between me and the 3rd generation. Orochimaru sneered a few times and appeared behind him, projecting countless poisonous snakes to pierce Aburame Ryoma. The latter also sprayed countless poisonous insect mists. During the use of their respective methods, Orochimaru saw Orochimaru directly detonating these poisonous snakes. Aburame Ryoma's body exploded. There was a loud explosion, and Aburame Ryoma's body was violently exploded. At the same time, Orochimaru's Kusanagi sword directly blocked Danzo's surprise attack. Danzo's Kyune was blessed with wind escape, which produced wind escape airflow, and cut at a more violent speed. At this time, Orochimaru injured the injury, sacrificed half of his body, and let the Kusanagi sword cut off Danzo's head. With the blessing of an organic reincarnation and the power of Senjutsu, Orochimaru used the Orochimaru Ryu substitute with half of his body. At the same time, Danzo once again appeared in front of Orochimaru using I's energy. The moment they first appeared, countless detonating talismans appeared around Danzo, and Orochimaru quickly formed a seal die. Compared to Danzo, who has been hiding behind the scenes to collect intelligence, Orochimaru has been a battlefield commander in several ninja wars, and has been wandering for these years, which has given him rich experience in life and death battles. Danzo is so stupid that he is wasting I's energy like a living target. The method is simply too easy to kill. 3 lives were taken away from him in the blink of an eye, and Danzo's expression turned ugly. Orochimaru, you bastard. Danzo, keep fighting, crazy. Orochimaru, you reading www.ukanu.net. The power of immortal magic continued to surge. At this time, the members of the Root began to attack Orochimaru one after another, while Danzo hid on one side and commanded to consume Orochimaru's strength. The 2 sides fought a fierce battle in the wilderness and dense forest, with explosions and fighting sounds constantly heard. Venomous snakes all over the sky continued to swarm in, forming a chaotic dance of killing and killing. Konoha-san in Orochimaru, even if he is a wounded beast, a beast is a beast after all. How can it be hurt by ordinary people? In the distance, Jiraiya was quickly rushing to the area where Orochimaru and the Roots were fighting. Jiraiya was familiar with Orochimaru's aura better than anyone else, but the fierce battle in the distance made Jiraiya's face jump wildly for some reason. An inexplicable sadness emerged from Jiraiya's heart. This uneasy feeling made Jiraiya uncomfortable. Orochimaru is a guy who cherishes his life more than anyone else. Why is he fighting desperately here? In Jiraiya's impression, Orochimaru was not a guy who would risk his life easily, but now he had a very strange idea that made him have to speed up in the direction of Orochimaru. Orochimaru, hold on and wait for me. Chapter 366, Heroes of the Ninja World. Orochimaru has always been negative and self-centered in his thinking. He is afraid that his companions will be harmed, and does not believe in the power of his companions. At the same time, because his parents died when he was young, he has witnessed the death of his best friends and apprentices, and people do not understand each other during wars. The life experience of respecting life has made his personality go further into darkness, causing his behavior to become more and more terrifying. He blindly believes in ninjutsu and power, and even ignores the original nature of life. He has always wanted to develop the art of immortality to change the world, but in order to achieve his personal goals, he abandoned and sacrificed the lives of other people as experimental subjects. Therefore, he was very close to Aoki Shiraishi and the 5th Kazekage at the beginning. In his eyes, Shiraishi and he were the same kind of people. This appreciation accompanied Shiraishi's growth step by step, and gradually made Orochimaru afraid. Konoha village may really be destroyed by Sunagakure. Compared to other people in Konoha, Orochimaru knows too much about Sunagakure. Currently, various technical talents within Sunagakure, as well as the Special Ninja Tool Research and Development Department, have a group of mecha puppets with terrifying combat capabilities. These puppets have comparable combat capabilities than the average large psychic beast. In addition, with the overall improvement of Sunagakure's technology industry, the entire Sunagakure's war planning capabilities are now far superior to those of the major shinobi villages. This is an achievement that is ahead of its time. The existence of such a terrifying opponent made Orochimaru unconsciously worry about the future of Konoha. At first, Orochimaru was very disgusted that he would have such thoughts in his heart. He has always wanted Konoha to collapse and be destroyed more than anyone else, and he even personally killed the old guy, the third Hokage. But when the third Hokage actually died before him and was easily murdered by the Kazekage's plot, the violent anger in Orochimaru's heart could no longer be contained. Orochimaru suddenly had an idea and suddenly wanted to do something to change this situation. That made him a little anxious. So he started research and development of the Earth reincarnation in advanced. Only by using this powerful forbidden technique can Konoha and other ninja villages still have a glimmer of hope of counterattack when facing the overwhelming power of Sunagakure. In addition to reincarnation, Orochimaru was also researching a powerful cloned life form similar to Beisetsu some time ago to supplement the battlefield strength of the ninja world. This technology was originally used to supplement the problem of living sacrifices in the reincarnation of the Dirty Land. But later Orochimaru discovered that it could actually be used on a large scale for more purposes, and even medical ninjutsu was of great value. My own arm has been chopped off many times. In the past, it would have taken at least several months for the medical class to treat such broken arm injuries. Even if the injury was too severe, it might not be cured. However, the arms of this wooden clone life form are very good materials and can be directly attached. Now that the three major ninja villages are united, they seem to have abundant troops. In Orochimaru's eyes, a Sunagakure team can overturn the configuration of a combined army brigade. Therefore, this kind of technology is also the key to reversing the situation of the war. It is precisely because Orochimaru has mastered so many techniques that Shiraishi set up a killing situation and borrowed the sword of Konoha to push Orochimaru to the most desperate situation. Senior Orochimaru, you could have gone to Raichi Cave to slowly recuperate and repair your damaged soul state, but now you are eager to go to Konoha. That is a real road of no return. Shiraishi was sitting in the Kazekage's office. At the same time, he formed seals with his hands and used a special magic lantern technique to bless a bird on the battlefield. He used it to observe the battle between Orochimaru and Danzo. The injured Orochimaru had a very high fighting spirit, and almost all the people at the base were killed, leaving only a few people, which made Danzo very hurt. His own roots have been continuously consumed by guys like the Uchiha family and Orochimaru over the years, and there are very few truly useful talents left. Danzo felt very distressed for a while. During these periods, Danzo was killed twice more by Orochimaru. Danzo, who had only 5 lives left, had a chill in his eyes at this time. A scene happened on the battlefield, allowing Danzo to seize the opportunity. During the battle, countless venomous snakes controlled by Orochimaru penetrated the body of a root member. At the same time, he bit it down and forcefully absorbed the flesh and blood from his body. To replenish his violent loss of body energy. An explosion exploded from the corpses of the root members, and countless strange poisonous gases and dirty energy poured directly into Orochimaru's body, forming a series of killing moves. Orochimaru suddenly turned pale, and at this time Danzo held the wind release kunai to form a wind sword, and attacked quickly. Under the series of wind blade killing moves, Orochimaru's body was covered with blood stains. Orochimaru, hand over the scroll. Is Jiraiya really more worthy of your trust than me? Faced with Danzo's problem, Orochimaru's pheasant sword was quickly projected, and under Danzo's stunned gaze, he sealed his throat and beheaded Danzo. You talk too much. Danzo, after retracting the Kusanagi sword, he saw that after Danzo was resurrected, a wind blade struck directly in front of Orochimaru, sending him flying away fiercely. Stupid. Guy, you really let me down. Danzo was a little furious. He didn't expect that dealing with Orochimaru, who had severely injured him, would cost him so much strength. Thinking of this, he stepped forward fiercely, and countless wind blades instantly cut off Orochimaru's hands. How much strength do you still have to fight after losing your hands? Both hands were cut off at the same time. Orochimaru spewed out a large amount of venomous snakes from his mouth, and then rolled sideways and detonated. Upon seeing this, Danzo quickly exhaled a strong airflow to disperse, then punched Orochimaru, knocking Orochimaru to the ground. Stepping directly on it. Danzo's eyes were cold. You don't know how to live or die. Take him away. Just as the remaining Roots personnel were preparing to take action, a figure quickly rushed into the crowd and directly carried Orochimaru on his back. The person who took action was tall and wearing a forehead protector with the word oil written on it. Her long white hair reaches her waist. Kanshu www.ukanshu.net. There is a red mark under the eye. According to Orochimaru's memory, this mark grew longer as he grew. Wearing a red coat, with brown clothes underneath, wooden clogs on his feet, and armor-like equipment on his hands. He is Jiraiya, one of the 3 ninjas. Jiraiya, do you want to get involved in this? Looking at Orochimaru, who was already dying, Danzo frowned and scolded. Facing the provocation from everyone at the root, Jiraiya suppressed the anger in his heart and felt the weakness of the person behind him. The two grew up together. Had Jiraiya ever seen him like this before? For a moment, the hero of the ninja world was furious, and the surrounding airflow quickly rolled in, compressing the remaining roots and making the personnel gasp for breath. Even Danzo was secretly shocked by Jiraiya's current strength. During this period of training in Myomu Mountain, Jiraiya's strength seemed to have made a lot of breakthroughs. Sometimes he could perform some simple celestial arts without the need for Sage Mode. Danzo, get out of my way, before I want to kill you. Chapter 367, Farewell, Orochimaru. The path was rugged and windy, and Jiraiya was walking on the ruins of Konoha carrying Orochimaru, who was severely injured. The damage caused by the red sun caused by Ki Uchiha has just passed. Although Konoha is being rebuilt now, the surrounding environment gives people a feeling of desolation and desolation. Orochimaru is carrying Jiraiya on his back like this, looking at the Konoha village in front of him, with a look in his eyes. There was a hint of confusion. This is not Konoha, Orochimaru. This is Konoha. You have been away for too long, and your memory is a bit blurry, idiot. My memory has always been better than yours. Listening to Orochimaru murmuring to himself, Jiraiya smiled and comforted him a few words. After the two said a few words, he saw that Orochimaru was a little tired, so Jiraiya said nothing more, and continued walking in Konoha. Ruined streets. Jiraiya, Tsunade's voice made Jiraiya stop suddenly. As the 5th Hokage, Tsunade first saw Jiraiya carrying the blood-stained Orochimaru on his back. He wanted to say something, but didn't know how to say it. Tsunade, I will be back soon with Orochimaru on my back. When Jiraiya entered Konoha, Danzo and the Roots did not stop him. This deliberately letting go made Jiraiya very clear about Danzo's plan. He is not afraid of all this. Even if Danzo will be accused of colluding with the traitor Orochimaru in the future to use it to trip up Tsunade, Jiraiya will not have any fear or flinch. As a hero in the ninja world, he naturally has the ability to judge and control the situation. For Jiraiya right now, the most important thing is to send Orochimaru to complete the final journey. Jiraiya, I understand. The man in front of him was usually bohemian, but in fact he was the spiritual pillar of the Sannin. His smile and gesture were enough to make him and Orochimaru completely trust him. The road is short, but very difficult to walk. Jiraiya could clearly feel that Orochimaru's life force was rapidly draining, and he was getting weaker and weaker. Jiraiya, in fact, it is reasonable to give that thing to Danzo, so that its value can be more fully realized, but it seems that my mind was a little confused at that time, and I just wanted to entrust it to you. Orochimaru used all his strength to spit out the scroll from his body and landed it in Jiraiya's hand. Orochimaru is now in a very good mental state and seems to have no intention of dying. Jiraiya wanted Orochimaru to stop talking, but Orochimaru scolded him fiercely. Don't interrupt me. How much time do you think I have left to catch up with you? Seeing that Jiraiya stopped talking, Orochimaru slowly bit Jiraiya's neck. Compared with ordinary curse seals, it was more of an celestial power poured into it, and it immediately filled Jiraiya's chakra. There was a hint of riot point. The pure magic seal from Raichi Cave was engraved on Jiraiya's neck, forming a special curse seal point comparing the celestial arts pattern of Myomu Mountain. The pattern of Raichi Cave overlaps with it. The power of celestial arts of the two holy places is perfectly combined. Orochimaru, who swallowed the white snake sage, was far better than Jiraiya in his understanding of celestial arts, so he improved his own celestial arts and curse seals, and created an exclusive celestial curse seal for Jiraiya. The celestial arts of Raichi Cave and Mount Myaboku will be harmonized and absorbed with the help of the curse seal to form your own celestial being, Jiraiya. In this way, you don't need to maintain the so hard Mount Myaboku Sage mode and transform it into a Sage level combat power. The curse seal planted on Jiraiya is mainly to coordinate the Senjutsu chakra of Raichi Cave or Mount Myoki to prevent Jiraiya from having the power of Senjutsu backfire on him, and at the same time, the power of his body will be similar to that of a Sage human body. This is Orochimaru's last gift to Jiraiya. In the future, the situation in the ninja world will be dangerous, and Jiraiya will need more power to deal with it all. In addition to Sunagakure, the Akatsuki organization and the Otsutsuki clan who are trying to resurrect Uchiha Madara are all watching from the dark. More powerful opponents will appear in the future. Can you protect yourself, Jiraiya? Drops of blood fell on Jiraiya's shoulder, and Orochimaru suddenly asked seriously, Orochimaru, the value of a ninja's life is not determined by how he lives, but by what he does before his death. Before my story ends, all I can do is protect everything in front of me. For Jiraiya, the destiny of a ninja is not how to live, but how to die, and how to draw the curtain. Jiraiya's answer made Orochimaru laugh, as if he heard a joke. Haha, you will always be an idiot. The understatement of ridicule, as the power of the curse seal was perfectly integrated into Jiraiya. The light in Orochimaru's eyes dimmed little by little, and finally disappeared completely. Just after Orochimaru's life stopped, the last of his chakra quietly merged into Jiraiya's curse seal, forming a unique snake totem around the curse seal. It is obvious that after Orochimaru's death, all his consciousness and soul turned into this mark and merged into Jiraiya's curse seal. Jiraiya, just let me believe you for once. Don't you die. There is the final destiny seal in the curse seal. This is a seal that Orochimaru never wants to activate, because once it is activated, it means Jiraiya. Jiraiya naturally knew the meaning of the last mark, and he laughed heartily. Orochimaru, when one day the hero Jiraiya's story comes to an end, then this curse mark will be the most dazzling Easter egg at the end of the story. The laughter stopped suddenly, and Jiraiya quietly shed tears. Goodbye, my eternal rival. At the moment Orochimaru fell, White Snake Princess in Ryuji Cave suddenly felt that her soul state had been fully improved, and the incomplete White Snake Senin soul directly turned into White Snake Princess's nourishment, and was swallowed up. I didn't expect you, Orochimaru, to choose this path for yourself. Orochimaru died, and the remaining White Snake Sento soul returned to Raichi Cave. He planned to wait for an opportunity to resurrect, but was directly swallowed by White Snake Princess who was waiting for him. It is obvious that, even if Orochimaru escapes back to Raichi Cave, reading www.ukanshu.net, White Snake Princess will become another fatal obstacle for him. As the Kazekage, Shiraishi calculated every step of Orochimaru. The soul-destroying power caused by the green flames made it impossible for Orochimaru to use the reincarnation technique or split to escape in a short period of time. This is King Gaian's most domineering damage to the soul type. In addition, Shiraishi has arranged corresponding means in both directions of Raichi Cave and Konoha, so it is difficult for Orochimaru to escape from this game. Although it is now confirmed that Orochimaru is dead, Shiraishi knows very well that this guy is currently the most difficult person to kill in the ninja world. Although he is dead on the surface, there must be a backup plan for leaving so many curse marks. Thinking of this, Shiraishi condensed special light on his fingers and pierced the former Orochimaru on his neck little by little to plant a curse seal on himself. Under the silver sacred light, the curse seal was gradually destroyed bit by Shiraishi. Recalling everything about himself and Orochimaru, Shiraishi felt a little sad. It was Shiraishi's greatest regret that a talent like Orochimaru could not be used by Sunagakure after all. Farewell, Orochimaru-senpai. Chapter 368, Sasuke and Naruto. Sasuke, it's time to eat. The Uchiha family mansion is different from the fact that most of it was expropriated by Konoha in history. Since Uchiha Itachi is now the head of Konoha Zenbu and is powerful, Konoha retains most of the Uchiha dominion. In order to prevent Sasuke from being lonely, Itachi specially recruited some ordinary people as servants in the mansion and asked them to take good care of Sasuke. Yes, Sasuke's face was a little stiff, and he sat silently next to Itachi, eating like a robot, with no expression on his face. Seeing his brother like this, Itachi was a little helpless. He had been like this since Sasuke woke up from that incident. It was obvious that he was very concerned about the destruction of his family. What's more, the rebellion of the Uchiha clan directly caused Sasuke to suffer various criticisms in the ninja school. In particular, many children had their families broken up because of Uchiha Kid's relationship with Akaya, and many of their parents died in this incident. This made them even more angry at Sasuke. But as the younger brother of Uchiha Itachi, Sasuke had very good qualifications. Under the stimulation of this night of genocide, he accidentally opened the Sharingan, and it was also a second Magatama. With a 2 Magatama Sharingan, Sasuke's strength is far beyond that of ordinary civilian ninjas. Therefore, after he often beat up a group of children who came to provoke him in school, no one dared to provoke this guy again. Also, compared to the original history, Uchiha Sasuke's dark side is stronger, which makes Itachi more worried about Sasuke's future. Sasuke, why don't you stop going to school? Hearing Itachi's words, Sasuke sneered twice. I listened to what should be heard, scolded what should be scolded, and beat what should be beaten. Is it necessary not to go to school to escape? Itachi was choked and didn't know how to answer. He watched Sasuke leave the house step by step. He wanted to say something, but couldn't. He was not qualified to preach to him at all. In Sasuke's eyes, he was the executioner who exterminated the clan and killed his parents, and the high-level officials of Konoha were the culprits who persecuted the Uchiha clan. Sasuke has always been a cold-hearted person. He loves his family deeply, but he does not talk about this feeling in words, but takes practical actions in a low-key manner. In order to gain his father's approval, he practiced hard in the ninja school and achieved excellent results. However, on the eve of the genocide, Sasuke knew about the Cold War between his father and his brother. The young Sasuke did not know the inside story, but he longed for his father and brother to resolve the misunderstanding and maintain family harmony. It was based on his love for his family that Sasuke's life changed after he suffered genocide. Facing the clan members who died overnight, Sasuke was extremely sad and angry, and he closed his heart from then on, hoping to gain powerful power and avenge the Uchiha clan as soon as possible. Konoha and Uchiha Itachi were all the objects of his disgust. Therefore, he never wanted to find Uchiha Kid, hoping that he would guide him and give him strength. In the past, brother Uchiha Kid often came to look after him in the clan and taught him how to use ninja tools to project, making the young Sasuke very close to Uchiha Kid. Uchiha Kid directly declared war on Konoha on the night of the genocide. From the moment the red sun he created fell on Konoha village, in Sasuke's heart he was already the hero and strongman of the Uchiha clan. The power of resentment in Sasuke's body was growing day by day. Although Itachi wanted to use Jinjutsu to change Sasuke's view of Konoha, every time he saw his brother's stubborn eyes, Itachi felt so heartbroken that he couldn't do it. This is also part of Shiraishi's calculation of the 6 paths sage. Although Uchiha Kid cannot affect the reincarnation of this generation of Ashura, Indra is in the Uchiha clan and uses some clever methods to naturally increase the negative destructive emotions in Indra's body to the extreme. Sasuke didn't want to care about his brother's thoughts. When he walked out of the door dully, he heard a laugh. Haha, bastard Sasuke, what are you doing here, Uzumaki? Naruto's voice made Sasuke feel extremely harsh, but for some reason it had a special sense of intimacy. However, he still maintained his poker face and looked at Uzumaki Naruto coldly. Are you an idiot? Due to the Ninetales attack on Konoha, the fourth Hokage sealed the positive chakra of the Ninetales into Naruto, who was still a baby at the time point, although Minato and his wife left last words before their death, hoping that the villagers of Konoha would regard Naruto as the hero of the village, due to confidentiality, except for the third generation and a few villagers who knew the inside story. Naruto's life experience was not announced to the public. Even Naruto, I don't know why the most people in the village regarded Naruto as the incarnation of the Kyuubi and treated him coldly. Naruto grew up in loneliness. He always wanted to be recognized by others, so he often played pranks in the village to attract attention. His pranks even got so bad that he painted graffiti on Konoha's Hokage rock point. Sasuke and Naruto have actually already recognized each other invisibly, so they have various interactions and one-sided beatings every day. Naruto would come to provoke Sasuke all the time, and then being beaten up would make Sasuke lose a lot of his anger. However, Naruto seems to have gained a lot of strength recently. At least there were some clever taijutsu moves in some basic battles, which surprised Sasuke. I recently met a strange and lustful immortal who taught me a lot. After Orochimaru's death, Jiraiya felt the urgency of the situation, so he spent most of his time in Konoha, one of the main things being to take care of everything about Naruto. Compared with the third generation and other high-level Konoha officials, Jiraiya treats Naruto sincerely because he is an orphan of the fourth generation. In a sense, he regards Naruto as the continuation of the fourth generation. This feeling of licking the calf made Naruto feel more warmth except for Mr. Iruka, and coupled with Sasuke's ties. In fact, the reincarnation of Ashura is now in a good mood, and his outlook is not as good as Sasuke's dark. Naruto's improved strength is also a good thing for Sasuke. He really needs a sparring partner of the same age. Time advances slowly. Reading www.ukanshu.net. With the arrival of Konoha in the early 1960s, Naruto and Sasuke are constantly improving and growing. In view of this, Konoha directly granted the 2 graduation qualifications and established the 7th class with Hiruno Sakura. As it's still Hatake Kakashi who leads the team, but there is no so-called wave country mission, and there are no ordinary D-level or E-level missions for training. The first day Kakashi led the team was to defeat bandits and a group of rebel ninjas in order to go to the battlefield and learn how to kill people and overcome psychological fear. Now Konoha simply does not have time to train the next generation bit by bit, like in the original work. Instead, it uses the model of the war years to train Genin. It turned out that just the year before last, a group of mysterious pirates captured the coastline of Uno country and then directly invaded the entire Uno country. When Kumo Ninja reacted, Sunagakure settled in Uno country in the name of suppressing bandits. No matter how much the Kumo Ninja protested, Sunagakure's heavy troops were stationed, and the smell of gunpowder in the entire ninja world became more and more serious. As for Shiraishi, he and Unohanaritsu are preparing to open the barrier to another world for the 3rd time, because the memory of the 3rd mirror was completely sorted out. The world coordinates also appeared. Chapter 369. 4 Souls. In the 60th year of Konoha, the core base of the Sunagakure Triangle Sea area, the metal science fiction feeling here is stronger than in a few years. Various metal triangular pyramids suspended in midair stand upside down, showing a future world pattern. Sister Hua, please take care of me this time. Although this is not the first time that the world barrier has been opened. Unohanaritsu is currently the top combat power in Sunagakure village that is no less than her own, so it is more appropriate for her to hold the battle point in the 55th year of Konoha. He first met Unohanaritsu. 5 years have passed since then. During this period, Unohanaritsu has conquered the entire Sunagakure village with his powerful medical ninjutsu. Many people even rank her as the 2 strongest medical ninjas in the ninja world, with Tsunade from Konoha village. Since she has always appeared as a medical ninja, many people have overlooked that Hanaritsu Yuno is even more powerful because of her terrifying killing swordsmanship. In the past 6 years, Shiraishi has been engaged in various life and death combats with Unohanaritsu almost every day. and his physical instincts have almost exceeded the limit many times, allowing him to remain at the peak of his fighting consciousness similar to the previous preparations for crossing the barrier. To break through the space barrier, a huge amount of dragon vein power needs to be mobilized. However, as technology has become more mature in recent years, the consumption and utilization efficiency of dragon veins have improved a lot. The six-sided mirror-shaped super-regenerative core is the latest generation supercomputing system developed by Shiraishi. In addition to stabilizing the connection between the two worlds on the original basis, it also has a faster processing algorithm, after collecting intelligence and information from the opposite world, to carry out the system. Self-updating improves performance. In the future, Shiraishi can place more of these regenerative cores in various worlds, collect various data information, and then transform and store them. This is more complete in function than the semi-finished deep sea mithril gloves and the first generation super regeneration core projected in the first two worlds. Unahaneritsu carefully examined the six-sided mirror-like supercomputing device in front of him, and couldn't help but marvel. So that's it. This thing is really ingenious. The regeneration core system in Shiraishi's eyes was connecting with the entire sea base system. The surrounding sky suddenly tore open. The seven treasures tree, which had been prepared for a long time, was projected out of Shiraishi's hand and turned into a cloud of color in midair under the powerful light. There is an unknown world opposite the huge black hole that was torn apart. Using the same method as last time, only two-dimensional holes were suddenly shot out. One of the dimensional holes merged into the huge dark crack and then appeared in the world on the other side. The moment the regenerative nuclear system was dropped into the opposite world, it seemed to cause a violent space vibration. The principle of equal exchange is activated again. In the past few years, I have been very curious as to why you insist on constantly opening the world barrier, even though it is to explore the truth of the world. Shiraishi, whose eyes were illuminated by the light of the regeneration core, remained silent for a long time and told the truth. In fact, the rules of this world are not perfect and are even full of loopholes. Full of loopholes. When the order in the three realms of this world is perfect, when will it be full of loopholes, sister? The order of the three realms, you see, is a complete concept, not a separate world. When Shiraishi said this, the magic seal array on his hand kept activating, and the cracks in the sky spread little by little. Unahaneritsu is not a fool. Shiraishi's words make sense. So, is this world composed of multiple parallel worlds? The existence of the perfect order in the three realms that I observed is not this world or this time and space. Maybe that's it. The essence of existence in this world has always been what I have been exploring and investigating. The future world where Yamato lives is linked to the current world in some form, but the deeper Shiraishi investigates, the more he discovers that the future orthodox Hokage world where Yamato lives is different from this world. This subtle difference gave Shiraishi a bold suspicion perhaps the core essence of this world is just a world similar to the limited Tsukuyomi world created in the original work. The imperfect laws of this world have resulted in the glasses system of another world, and the fact that he is constantly breaking through the world barrier to summon deceased people from other dimensions. Perhaps the encounter with that Asura in the Asura forest was a special illusion in itself. Being in the game, it is impossible to see through the confusion, so Shiraishi will continue to break the barriers between the two worlds to find the true meaning and essence of the world. In the process of completely breaking through the barrier between the two worlds, cracks gradually appeared in the ninja tool Kibeo Myoshu. It was obvious that it had passed through the world barrier 3 times, causing serious damage to itself. Under the light of the seven treasures tree, a special 4-soul mark suddenly appeared on the third mirror in Beishi's world of consciousness. According to legend, hundreds of years ago, a powerful Mako named Kizi had the ability to extract souls for purification and eliminate demons. In order to deal with her, a large number of monsters, including ghosts, dragons, earth spiders and other monsters, gathered together to become a big monster. In the long-term battle with the big monster, Kizi was exhausted due to physical exhaustion and was still unable to win, so she used her last strength to steal the monster's soul, melt it into her own soul, and then release it from the body. As a result, both Kizi and the monster died. Only the crystallization of the soul is left, which is the jade of the four souls for hundreds of years. The four souls jade has been passed down from monster to human. It is said that this jade can give monsters powerful abilities and can also enable powerful warlocks to destroy demons. Finally, it was passed to the patriarch of an exorcist village. In order to prevent the four souls jade from falling into the hands of monsters, the jade was handed over to a witch with high spiritual power. To protect it. In the past, many monsters tried to snatch this jade, but were eliminated by this powerful witch. However, this witch misunderstood her lover under the scheme of an evil monster, and was ultimately cremated, and died with the four souls jade full of grief and anger soon after passing the principle of equivalent exchange. A special four souls jade appeared in front of Shiraishi, but Anohanaritsu's eyes were very vicious, and he could tell at a glance that this jade was unusual. It turns out that this is a really strange prop that is somewhat similar to the Bengaiu, but it is not that corrosive. Only those with pure souls can control it. Anohanaritsu took over the jade of the four souls. At the same time, when Shiraishi was about to end the barrier between the two worlds, a huge black curtain suddenly tore apart from the sea world, just like the door to Hades opened. You read www.okanshu.net. Iomi Hirazan, the time and space ninjutsu exclusive to the Otsutsuki clan appeared. Shiraishi's pupils shrank, and high in the sky, a silver-haired young man wearing ninja attire, holding a folding fan, appeared with a sneer under the silver short hair. A pair of strange samsara eyes surrounded his eyes. I saw this member of the Otsutsuki clan looking at Shiraishi and Anohanaritsu below with a scrutinizing gaze. I see, the source of distortion in this world is right here, facing the eyes of the mysterious and powerful Otsutsuki clan. Shiraishi's magical powers were raised to the extreme, and at the same time, the danger level in his heart was also raised to the highest level. The Otsutsuki clan. Let me introduce myself. My name is Otsutsuki Ryuashiki. The moment the samsara eye was activated, Otsutsuki appeared behind Shiraishi in a blink of an eye. The special bag Wagale palm condensed on his palm and blasted out. However, he saw the latter releasing the whirlwind knife at the same time to block his attack. The explosive airflow generated by the confrontation between the two sides caused the entire sea base to shake. Chapter 370, Anohana vs. Otsutsuki. The Otsutsuki clan, pure outsiders, came to Earth from another world for the fruits of the sacred tree. They are born with great strength and do not need to practice like ordinary people. The Earth was once the area that Otsutsuki Kagura was responsible for. Kagura's original task was to hand over the chakra fruits of the sacred tree to other members of the Otsutsuki clan. But Kagura prefers the people of this Earth. In the end, she betrayed the Otsutsuki clan and obtained chakra by swallowing the fruit of the sacred tree, thus interrupting the chakra that should have been provided to Otsutsuki. She even gave birth to children with humans on the Earth. Because Kagura was afraid of their existence, so he launched the infinite Tsukuyomi and created the weapon Beisetsu in an attempt to fight against it. Shiraishi didn't originally understand this period of history, but with the memories of several other failed time travelers, he now has a full understanding of the Otsutsuki clan. The Tsutsuki Rai style Rinnegan is the left eye, and its color is dark green. Although he can't feel the surging chakra in his body, Shiraishi doesn't dare to be careless at all. Any Otsutsuki clan member is a very difficult and troublesome existence. I met Orochimaru a few years ago and found that a special kind of flame remained in his body. It was neither a pill nor a force of nature, so I became very interested in ninja sect in this world. The ninja sect of this world. Shiraishi grasped the key information in the other party's words. Are you not from this world? Are you from this world again? The lady next to you doesn't seem to be from this world either, right? Otsutsuki Ryuashiki didn't mind at all that his identity was revealed. He took out a unique golden skill card and looked at Shiraishi with curiosity. But I didn't expect that you could improve the power of the 10-way system to this point and even produce something similar to Dan's similar power. Golden skill card. Some of the cards recorded in the glasses system over the years are no longer in the time and space of this world, and they are wandering in another world. It is obvious that Otsutsuki Ryuashiki accidentally obtained the golden card from Tinged. Although he did not know how to use it, he used this card to come to the world of the ninja continent. As for the so-called pills, Shiraishi remembers clearly that people from the Otsutsuki clan would extract certain energy called pills from chakra fruits, and then take them as refined medicines, and then use these things to increase their strength and lifespan. So you don't need to practice like people on Earth to gain power. Speaking of this dragon style, he looked at the base and marveled. This base also has various powerful technical forces and masters energy that is ahead of an era. This makes me very interested in you. However, before Otsutsuki Ryuashiki could finish his words, Shiraishi took action. The dragon's claws, turned into terrifying hot air, whizzing past Otsutsuki Ryuashiki. The latter also condensed blood red light in its claws, colliding with Shiraishi's power together. It's really unfriendly. Ignoring Otsutsuki Ryu's nonchalant look at all, Shiraishi also used telekinesis to slowly walk up into the sky. The purpose of your coming to this world is for the chakra fruit, so what? In this world, Kaguya and the other Otsutsuki clan members have not woken up. This is the best chance to absorb enough power of the pill. As soon as he finished speaking, Shiraishi's divine sword of heaven suddenly shot out a sharp ray of light. The Otsutsuki dragon style did not dare to be careless. With the Samsurai activated, the folding fan in his hand turned into a special light, which blocked Shiraishi's slashing wave and blocked it. Its perfect absorption transforms into its own power. The absorption power of the Otsutsuki clan can absorb all ninjutsu and chakra, and even copy their ninjutsu. The otherworldly soul that had just been brushed from the otherworldly barrier into the jade of the four souls was currently dissipating rapidly. If it was too late to deal with it, then he would have opened the world barrier in vain. Therefore, Uotaharitsu was chanting to stabilize the soul. After a moment, after seeing that the state of the soul in the jade of four souls was stabilized, Uotaharitsu looked at the two people confronting each other in the sky, and suddenly a teleportation appeared in midair. The soul below still needs you to deal with. Leave this guy to me. The target of Otsutsuki's dragon style appearing here is Shiraishi himself, because taking all the power from Shiraishi's body may allow him to break through the boundaries and surpass other Otsutsuki clan members, coupled with his Rinnegan, which targets most ninjutsu in this world. Shiraishi's power is limited to a certain extent. However, Unohana-ritsu is different. She mainly focuses on swordsmanship. Even if she doesn't use any soul-cutting sword or spiritual power, she is a monster-level existence point. Although Otsutsuki Ryuashiki was powerful, he did not take this visitor from another world seriously, because his Samsurai could feel that the chakra power of this woman was limited. Woman, just get out of the way. That's not okay. Unohana Ritsu smiled heartily, but the moment he pulled out the soul-cutting sword in his hand, a line of blood split from Otsutsuki Ryuashiki's body. The knife that was drawn out of nowhere actually cut open his body. Otsutsuki Ryuashiki's expression changed dramatically, and he quickly took a few steps back. The light condensed on his fingers repaired his body, and he finally became serious. The power of pure physical education facing the great swordsman who mastered the 8,000 styles. Otsutsuki Ryuashiki changed his contemptuous attitude and attacked Unohana-ritsu in an instant, only to see the latter's figure disappearing in front of Otsutsuki Ryuashiki like a phantom. Then the second sword was cut again, and Otsutsuki's right arm was cut off inexplicably in the dragon style, licking the blood on the knife. Unohana-ritsu showed a bloodthirsty smile. Your physical skills are too weak, and they are not enough for me to cut. Being stared at by such a gaze, Ryuashiki's scalp felt numb. The long knife in Unohana-ritsu's hand struck again. Under the light of Otsutsuki Ryuashiki's Samsurai, the folding fan in his hand produced special power. The dragon-style handheld folding fan becomes projected and releases black light. Once the opponent comes into contact with the folding fan, made of black crystals, an instant seal will be generated, and the opponent will be frozen in time. Unohana-ritsu shoots out a slashing airstream with his sword, and in the process of shattering the folding fan, an explosion is generated to form a unique otherworldly space field, in which the opponent's time can be completely frozen. This is the terrifying existence of the Otsutsuki clan. They seem to be inherently different from ordinary humans in the ninja world, and they almost exist above the rules facing Otsutsuki Ryu's unique method of stopping time and space. Unohana-ritsu seemed to be frozen in time. However, a moment later, Unohanaritsu's soft voice came from the surrounding world. No wonder someone once said that people with strange abilities can. They are all causing harm to the world. The Otsutsuki dragon style seemed to have suffered a heavy blow. Unohanaritsu's soul-cutting sword fell from a high altitude at some point, and the impact airflow generated shattered the time-frozen area at this moment. Unohanaritsu, who has thousands of years of combat experience, naturally has mature methods of fighting against opponents when encountering various strange and powerful opponents. Although the Otsutsuki clan has strange talents, they have very poor fighting experience against enemies. Reading www.uk.net. Unohanaritsu was able to neutralize him with a single stroke of his sword point with the repair of Unohanaritsu in the past 5 years. When his own spiritual power has been greatly improved, the physical destructive power of a strike of the soul-cutting sword is enough to cause a certain shock to the surrounding space. Blood dripped on Ryoshiki's forehead. The knife just now almost cut off half of his head. Now Otsutsuki Ryoshiki was completely panicked because the woman in front of him looked more like a monster than the Otsutsuki clan. You monster. In the instant confrontation, Unohanaritsu directly snatched the golden card from Otsutsuki Ryoshiki's hand because she remembered Shiraishi's Tenge inheritance power and needed these cards the most. I have to say, that sister Hua is unexpectedly more reliable than that guy Ace. At the same time, in the sea base below, Shiraishi is using the 5 symbols of reverse heavenly curse to heal the soul on the Jade of 4 Souls. PS. There is Peach, there is Pooh, and there is Gold, so naturally there is also Dragon Pose. Also, I will be receiving a lot of tweets on Friday. I'm so happy that everyone should support me more. I can get a lot of tweets. I guess the editors think I'm too salty. Come on. Pathetic. Chapter 371. Platicadent. Otsutsuki's dragon style was very frustrating. His Samsurai and most of his abilities were aimed at chakra ninjutsu and senjutsu. Even if he faced the Kazekage, he would not have any fear. However, the woman in front of him was purely skilled in melee swordsmanship, and her attack speed and movement speed were so fast that he could not exert much of his own strength. On the contrary, he was suppressed everywhere. Naturally, Shiraishi knew that, even though Otsutsuki Ryuashi no Hanaritsu was almost crushed, under the same circumstances, he had almost no advantage against Otsutsuki Ryuashi's weird Samsurai ability. Sure enough, the world's oldest clan is not that easy to deal with. Compared with Kaguya and Momoki in his memory, Otsutsuki Ryuashiki is not much stronger, but even so, Shiraishi still finds it troublesome to deal with it. 5 Escape techniques. Flame bird, dog feeding, healthy life, water crocodile, thunder dragon, soaring wine tiger, a special phoenix transformed from the fire attribute, a snake dog monster transformed from the earth attribute, a giant crocodile transformed from the water attribute, a silver dragon transformed with the thunder attribute, and a gale tiger created with the wind attribute. Otsutsuki's dragon style directly showed off a 5 attribute escape technique. Suddenly, the group of creatures with different attributes rushed towards Uozukaretsu wildly. However, they saw the latter's soul-cutting knife lightly swiped across the hand, and the fierce killing intent condensed in Uozukaretsu all over the body. Dark water slash. Unohanaritsu's growth history is a history of killing and fighting. She has gained the reputation of 8,000 swordsmanship, which represents endless killing and fighting. In addition to regular swordsmanship, Unohanaritsu also masters many unique killing techniques, such as this move of dark water battle. The slash is like a black shadow, absorbing all the surrounding brilliance, making the sword itself brighter and purer. The Otsutsuki Ryushiki circle is getting darker and darker, and all kinds of hidden things are brewing in the depths. Danger. Otsutsuki Ryushiki controls the creatures with 5 attributes to protect the surroundings. However, at this time, the sound of Unohanaritsu's blade vibrating at high speed suddenly filled Otsutsuki Ryushiki's ears the moment the wind tiger blasted out. Uozukaretsu's soul-cutting sword disappeared. It disappeared strangely, as if it had never existed. At this moment, there was darkness all around, and the long knife seemed to melt into it. Otsutsuki Ryushiki felt a violent panic in his heart for no reason. The dark sword is integrated into the slashing attack. In the past, when Unohanaritsu was coaching Zaruki Kenpachi, he used this dark sword to attack. But today, Unohanaritsu directly turns a soul-cutting sword into a dark sword slashing attack. In a loud explosion, the firebird water crocodile was crushed to pieces, and the explosive light produced by the thunder dragon hit Anohanaritsu's sword, but the speed remained unchanged. The conflict between the two sides broke out, causing fire to scatter. At this time, Anohanaritsu's the knife disappeared again. Point under the shadows afterglow. Anohana's fierce offensive became more and more ghostly. After another cut was made on Otsutsuki's dragon-style palm, he finally stopped fighting and chose to retreat. Facing the evacuation of Otsutsuki's dragon style, Anohanaritsu did not pursue him. Perhaps in the series of attacks, Anohanaritsu used part of his spiritual power, which made his body a little weak. After slowly falling to the ground, Anohanaritsu paled face. How is she doing? The next step is the resurrection stage, but her situation is more complicated, and she needs to use the reincarnation of the dirty earth. Unlike Anohanaritsu, whose pure spirit body can fight and fight, this soul still needs a body to support it. However, Shiraishi could not find its original body, so he chose to use the Shiken Jade as a medium to reincarnate in the dirty earth. As for the material test items, they are part of the White Zetsu research body, provided by Zetsu Point. Since the fall of Orochimaru a few years ago, Konoha has formed its own biological cell research team. Kabuto Yakushi is one of the leaders, and the other is Tsunade. Under the joint research and development of the two people, part of the improvement work of the reincarnation of the earth went smoothly. However, the only difficulty is to clone the White Zetsu. Compared with the original White Zetsu, the cell activity level is much worse. Although it can be reincarnated using dirty soil, its existence time is much shorter than that of the ordinary White Zetsu. It is obvious that the material plays a very important role in exerting the strength of the resurrected person reincarnated in the dirt. The essence of White Zetsu is that people who were possessed by the infinite Tsukuyomi thousands of years ago will gradually transform into the army created by Kaguya over the long years. So cloning Bay is not a simple matter. Although Shiraishi knew a little about the Shiken Jade through the memories of several time travelers, he was still not sure whether the resurrected Mako was the same as the one in whose memory. Kabuto Yakushi had already secretly handed over the seals and information about the reincarnation of the dirty land to Shiraishi. Although it was not as detailed as Orochimaru's original version, it was enough to carry out the most basic resurrection ritual. Compared with other people who have been reincarnated in the dirty earth, this Mako only needs to undergo the simplest reincarnation in the dirty earth, activate her soul and body, and then she, who has mastered the Jade of the Four Souls, can heal herself. Under the light of resurrection, Beizetsu's body changed little by little, turning into a woman dressed as a Mako. She wears a white top with red kimono hakama, dark eyes, a sleek black hairstyle, usually tied with a plain white hair tie, delicate and beautiful facial features, a Mako costume with a white top and a red bottom, and she often carries it on her back. A simple bow and arrow, a touch of cherry lips. Although his eyes were closed, his expression was firm and melancholy. Born in Musashi Country's Maple Village, Kikayo, a shrine maiden, has possessed powerful spiritual power since she was a child. She has been walking on the road of Shura with blood, living an unchanging life of killing monsters and protecting the villagers. She is famous throughout the world as a shrine maiden with superb spiritual power, and is entrusted with the important task of guarding and purifying the Shiken Jade. Many monsters who come to seize the Shiken Jade are easily destroyed by her demon-breaking arrows. One day, Kikayo accidentally met Inuyasha, a half-demon who came to seize the Jade of Four Souls. Feeling that he was in a similar situation and lonely to himself, he couldn't bear to kill him, so he showed mercy. In repeated confrontations from then on, the two gradually became romantically involved, and they often traveled together to slay demons. The two even agreed to use the Four Souls Jade to turn Inuyasha into a human being, so that the Four Souls Jade disappears, and Kikayo can resume her identity as an ordinary woman, and they can stay together for life, and grow old together. However, the final direction of the two people's story is a complete tragedy. As the light of resurrection dissipated, the Mako named Kikayo slowly opened her eyes. At the moment, a special spiritual barrier enveloped the Mako. Mayozahuli saw the clues and marveled. This is a special soul barrier that can protect oneself from being controlled by evil. An amazing witchcraft method. The spiritual power of Uzahula has the same name as that of Platikatan, but its essence is different. Among them, Platycodon's spiritual power is transformed by the Four Souls Jade. At the moment of awakening, a special soul barrier method is activated to avoid the reincarnation of the dirty earth and the control of the caster itself. Point as expected of a Mako who specializes in purification. The first thing she did after waking up was to directly reverse the reincarnation of the dirty land and forcefully untie it. Point. Although she was conscious, Kikayo did not take any further action, but directly looked at the strange man and woman in front of her. PS. In fact, Platycodon grandiflorum has very comprehensive abilities. In addition to various purification methods, she is also proficient in various enchantment techniques, hypnosis, dream control, space transfer, magic gathering, AoE clearing troops, and can even open the door to hell and perish with the enemy. Melee combat in terms of all kinds of spiritual power bursts. She can chop the heads of monsters into pieces without using a bow or a sword. She is a very tough Mako-sama. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 372. Since ancient times, there have been many archers. After waking up, the shrine maiden Platycodon looked calm, and the surrounding enchantments continued to spread. In addition to the soul enchantment, Platycodon also displayed a special strengthening enchantment. To increase her own explosive spiritual power, it has to be said that this Mako's reaction and quality show that she is not as weak as she appears, but on the contrary, she is still a top strong person. There are so many other skills for those who play bow. According to the memory obtained by Shiraishi, Kikayo has a very distinct personality, is tolerant and kind to others, is very gentle to the weak, and is selfless to others. Underneath his strong appearance, he also has a gentle and passionate heart. During battle, he can calmly analyze the opponent's position or the situation on the scene. He can easily see through the enemy's purpose and conspiracy, and react quickly at critical moments. Therefore, when Kikayo felt the power of the reincarnation of the dirty earth, her first reaction was to use her own soul barrier as a means of defense. At the same time, her sense of justice and order far exceeds that of Ace and Unahaneritsu. Upon realizing that she had been resurrected by a special method of living sacrifice, Kikayo's first reaction was that the other party was an evil spirit who wanted to use herself and the Shikan Jade, so she had a certain hostile attitude towards Shiraishi and Unahaneritsu. I have to say that such a Mako made Shiraishi's eyes show a hint of admiration. Although Kikayo has a similar temperament to Unahaneritsu, they are essentially two completely different types of people. In particular, her various powerful purification abilities may be the most powerful weapon to deal with the reincarnation of dirty soil. After the barrier was covered, Kikayo slowly spoke. Who are you? What is this place? It's a whole new world here. Compared to Ace's simplicity and Unahaneritsu's casualness, Kikayo is much more cautious. Although she didn't use it, the barrier spiritual power was constantly boiling around her, which symbolized that she had not let down her guard against Shiraishi. Letting the surrounding wind blow his long black hair away, Kikayo's aura remained unabated. Then, what is the purpose of resurrecting me? She is pregnant with a Four Souls Jade, and has always been plotted by various forces and demons. At the same time, Kikayo remains wary of everyone. Obviously, she has not gotten over the Inuyasha incident. Shiraishi and Kikayo looked at each other for a moment, then slowly said, because I need your power. Unexpectedly, the young man opposite did not make excuses, but directly stated that he valued his own strength. My power. Slowly walking forward, Shiraishi said bluntly, the continent you came to has been in constant war for thousands of years. I just want to use my own means to end this era. However, my opponents use the filthy soil reincarnation method to blaspheme the secrets of the dead technique. I need your power, the Platycodon witch, to purify these undead souls. The idea of great unification has been the mainstream in the Eastern world since ancient times. As the top Mako of the Onmyoji lineage, Kikayo has a very high cultural level, so she can understand Shiraishi's rhetoric. Moreover, as a Mako, she has met many famous generals from the secular class. Shiraishi has the aura flowing out was in line with the setting he said. After confirming that Shiraishi's words were not lying, Kikayo shifted the question to another aspect. It's a method of desecrating the dead. Didn't you just use it? And using it is the most cruel living sacrifice. After the reverse removal of the reincarnation from the dirty soil, Kikayo has a clearer feeling about this physical body. However, compared with ordinary reincarnations from the dirty soil, different chakra is needed to maintain their existence. The maintenance medium of Kikayo is spiritual power. Therefore, Kikayo needs to collect a certain amount of dead souls to maintain his existence, just like the original Inuyasha. However, because the soul is very intact during resurrection, his body does not appear as fragmented as ordinary reincarnations. It can even be said that Kikayo's current strength is basically close to the strongest when he was alive, rather than a state of incomplete soul. The power methods used by Platicudon and Unohanaritsu are both called spiritual power, but the two are essentially two completely different concepts. Platicudon's spiritual power is more of a kind of mobilizing the power of nature and one's own soul, similar to the onmyoji of the ninja world. The method, coupled with the assistance of the Four Souls Jade, can enhance the power of Platicudon's own spiritual power. Unohanaritsu's spiritual power is a high-level energy in the Shinigami world. It is currently very sparse in the ninja continent, so the limit of Unohanaritsu's spiritual power is much greater than that of Kikayo. However, Unohanaritsu could feel that under the range of Platicudon's barrier technique, his spiritual power was repaired much faster than before. In addition to being an archer, this mecha also has powerful auxiliary and purifying effects. No wonder the Kazekage pays so much attention to her. The object of the living sacrifice is called Beiju. Shiraishi briefly explained the origins of Beisetsu and Mujutsu Kuayomi. Kikayo's face became more solemn the more he listened, and after Shiraishi took out several other Beisetsu sealed in the scroll, Kikayo finally believed everything Shiraishi said. As a mecha with a strong sense of justice, Kikayo naturally doesn't like such monsters, so she removes her hostile attitude towards Shiraishi and Unohanaritsu and cancels the barrier coverage. Unohanaritsu watched with amusement as Shiraishi deceived Kikayo about the unlimited Tsukuyomi plan. Now this guy's also promoting it. Although it is a grand gesture to deal with various hidden problems in the ninja world for thousands of years, Unohanaritsu himself, I think this Shiraishi is not a saint who is harmless to humans and animals, but getting such a strong teammate right now is crucial. Azuhul, I felt the sea breeze blowing from the sea base. How many times will you open the world barrier now? Mentioning this matter, Shiraishi thought about it. There is only the last coordinate available, and it is still being calculated. The memory of the last world is the most confusing, and Shiraishi can't see any clues at present, but the appearance of Ace, Unohanaritsu, and Platicudon made Shiraishi speed up the memory organization. After the three of them returned to Sand Hidden Village using the special shuttle reverse psychic technique, Kanshu www.ukanshu.net, Azuhul suddenly took out a golden card from his arms. In the previous battle, I took this from the opponent. This card may be useful to you. Thinking of fighting the Otsutsuki clan, Unohanaritsu also found it tricky. The strongest clan in the world was indeed well deserved. In order to deal with an ordinary clan member, he used a lot of spiritual power to scare him away. According to the information provided by Shiraishi, in addition to those who specialize in martial arts, the Otsutsuki clan also has clan members who specialize in power, and there are also people who do both, which is very troublesome. The Six Paths Sage, the source of the ninja sect, took care of both, as well as his two sons, Azura and Indra. No wonder this Kazekage is so afraid of this clan. After receiving the golden card from Unohanaritsu, Shiraishi was suddenly a little surprised. The reading speed of this golden card is much longer than that of regular golden cards. According to past experience, the value of this golden card may be very great. PS. Regarding today's big push, there will be updates later. The number of updates will depend on my actual status. Chapter 373, Photon Energy. After returning to Sunagakure village, Shiraishi entrusted Kikayo to Unohanaritsu to take care of her and let her get familiar with this era first. Compared to Ace and Unohanaritsu, Kikayo's era is a bit out of touch with Sunagakure village, which is almost half a technological city in front of her. Therefore, Kikayo must first adapt to it. As for Kikayo's future arrangements, she will naturally go to Sunagakure's sealing class and barrier class. With such a big shot sealing and barrier master, Sunagakure's flaws in barrier sealing can be supplemented. Since his own condition is not stable, Kikayo is currently closing his eyes to rest and adjust his spiritual power. Fortunately, his soul is now very complete, so there is no need to immediately mobilize dead soul insects to find dead souls to replenish. However, in order to maintain the time for the reincarnation of the Dirty Land, Platycadon will still need to collect a certain amount of dead souls in the future. To completely resurrect Platycadon, you have to use Samsara. The ultimate resurrection technique of the Samsara is Shiraishi's most advanced resurrection ninjutsu so far. It is a forbidden technique of the 6 paths, a super S-level forbidden technique that can only be used by the owner of the Samsara. With this technique, the seal will last for a few seconds, and then the natural light will spread around the deceased who was cast and resurrected. This technique does not require a living person, like the reincarnation of the Dirty Land is a sacrifice for the spell, and the deceased will be resurrected after being resurrected. He is as flesh and blood and conscious as before he was alive. When a large number of dead people need to be resurrected, the magician can summon King Yama from the underworld to the human world and release the souls of the deceased from the mouth of King Yama to resurrect the deceased in the human world. The cost of using this ninjutsu is the user's life. Obito, who used this move in the original history, was temporarily immortal because he was once a 10 tails Jinchuriki and was possessed by Black Zetsu. Coupled with Hashirama's cells, his life was extended, and according to Sakura, he could not be saved at that time, and it was obvious that he would definitely die. Otsutsuki Ryushiki, who had previously appeared in the base and made a sneak attack, also had the Samsara, so Shiraishi naturally considered the feasibility of his plan on how to capture Otsutsuki Ryushiki. When Maozahuali heard about the art of reincarnation, he naturally thought about it with Shiraishi. Will he still take the bait? What he values is nothing more than the power of chakra fruit. I'm afraid we will encounter this again in the future. The two sides are essentially conflicting and opposing sides. Even if Shiraishi doesn't go to him, Otsutsuki Ryushiki will appear again. While the two were chatting, the aura on Kikayo's body gradually stabilized. She glanced curiously in the direction of Shiraishi and then didn't say much. Seeing how quiet Platycadon looked, Shiraishi nodded. Sister Hua, I'm sorry to bother you. Haha, I will take good care of her, but you still have to pay attention to some things. With a smile on his face, Hanaritsu's tone gradually became serious. This new Miko, the way we get along with her in the future, will be different from Ace and I. You can't deceive her too much. Kikayo is still a simple Miko, and her thoughts are not complicated, but that doesn't mean she is a fool. If she is caught cheating too much, Shiraishi may be the one who suffers the consequences as an old monster who has lived for who knows how many years. Hanaritsu is in a normal situation and has much more experience than Shiraishi, so he can tell what kind of person Kikayo is at a glance. Yes, I understand and will pay more attention to it in the future. After all, Kikayo is an onmyoji with a strong sense of responsibility. To put it bluntly, he is a villain boss template, and he still has to win over a Miko with a strong sense of justice. If Kikayo hadn't seen that Shiraishi saved him and was not completely evil, otherwise he would have shot the arrow to defeat the demon. As for those rhetoric about ending the troubled times, people who are determined to unify a troubled world are generally heroes. How can they be righteous people? There are two types of people themselves, and they can't even urinate in a pot. After taking a deep look at Shiraishi, Hanaritsu took Kikayo, who was still resting with her eyes closed, out of Shiraishi's sight. The next step is to unlock the card, the golden card that Ritsu Hana snatched from Otsutsuki Ryushiki. Takes twice as long to unlock than a normal golden card. Therefore, the card was successfully unlocked only after Shiraishi and Kikayo and Hanaritsu explained many things. This is obviously a bit unbelievable. What is even more unbelievable is that this golden card is not completely turned into scrap metal. On the contrary, it still exists in Shiraishi's hand's superpower skill Photon Surge, condensing one's own mental power into a beam of light. The beam of light will invalidate the opponent's characteristics at the moment of attack. This ability is similar to the core Punisher, but more importantly, this move will be adjusted according to the opponent's defense situation point. If the physical resistance is high, then the damage of Photon Surge will become magic damage. If the magic resistance is high, then the damage of Photon Surge will be physical damage. The Glasses system's explanation of this move is in a semi-fuzzy state. It is obvious that compared to other skill card moves, the control and use of Photon Surge are in a semi-developed state. Even the video tutorials simply explain the principles. Compared with general skill cards that require localized and improved sealing sequences and methods, the introduction of Photon Spurt becomes very simple. Perhaps the Glasses system itself has not mastered the trick of Photon Spurting. The most important thing is that the unlocking was successful this time. This card did not directly become scrap metal like ordinary cards, but still retained its original appearance. Holding this special golden card in front of him, Shiraishi clearly felt that after the successful unlocking, a special energy fluctuation gradually occurred in the golden skill card. There are the secrets hidden in skill cards. The round pupils of Shiraishi's eyes opened with light, and when he combined his mind power to prepare to find out what the golden skill card was, a special dark light suddenly appeared in the card and enveloped Shiraishi's body. Illusion. In the special world of illusion consciousness, Shiraishi is in a special dark world. Suddenly, the light of the cross star shone in this dark world. Shiraishi sensed the danger. As he quickly retreated, countless light particles condensed into light beams and fell. Pillar of light. Is this the Photon Spurt? Different from the general skill card video simulation, this time it is an actual battle in the illusion within the consciousness. Thinking of the ancient crane immortal seal condensed on the white stone hand, the moment reading www.ukanshu.net successfully blocked the spurt of photons. A terrifying dragon roar erupted in the sky. I saw a pair of terrifying eyes staring at the white stone on the crack in the sky. At the same time, the light of dark particles was projected on the sky and the earth. Its huge hands have 3 claws, and a white crystal protrudes from the back of each hand. Its tiny legs are bent backwards, each with 3 toes. It has a pair of small hook-shaped wings on its shoulders. While the golden light particles were shining, the giant dragon beast that looked like a sacred creature actually had a very violent and bloody aura around it. I always feel that the original owner of the Glasses system and the monster that controls the Photon Spurt don't have a good relationship. Before Shiraishi could finish his rant, he saw the monster in front of him ejecting a shocking laser light, as if it was going to tear the world apart. The huge protrusion connected to the head of the ferocious beast in front of me is actually its tail. The dark grey star symbol at the end of the tail lights up when it absorbs light. It has a dragon-shaped head with spikes on the sides and the top of its tail at the same time as the light shines on the world. The entire tail head symbol shines very brightly, showing that it is converting the light it has just swallowed into attack energy. Chapter 374, Weapons built for Puppeteer. Facing the attack of the mysterious golden dragon, Shiraishi showed no signs of panic. The divine sword of heaven combined with the core Punisher cut out a powerful ray of light in the loud explosion. The photons spurted into dazzling light and continued to scatter in this space. Shiraishi was surprised to find that the power of these photons actually formed a special binding area. That's it. The light that swallows the darkness at this moment. The extremely cold flames and green flames condensed on Shiraishi's palm suddenly shot towards the monster in the sky, only to see the latter release a rain of light, easily neutralizing its attack. At the same time, the dimensional hole suddenly activated, and the energy of several black holes continued to intersect with the power of photons, creating a dazzling light impact in the sky. The more Shiraishi fought, the more suspicious he became. The giant dragon in front of him seemed ferocious, but every round of photons spewed out particle light, but it did not kill him completely, as if it was under investigation. Lights crisscrossed the sky, and Beishi's divine sword of heaven condensed a strong slashing wave. One blow chopped up countless photons. After the attack, Beishi appeared in front of the golden dragon in the sky. Just when the dragon was about to release a new round of photon fluctuations, Beishi stopped all attacks and quietly looked at the huge phantom dragon in the sky. Human, why stop fighting? The golden dragon's voice seemed to be electronically synthesized, and no emotional fluctuations or ups and downs could be heard. You are an illusion and I'm an illusion too. Why waste time here? Although it was just an illusion of consciousness, Shiraishi clearly felt that the monster in front of him was not an phantom, but on the contrary, the residual shadow of some kind of power. The golden dragon emits an eerie laugh, which, combined with its electronic synthesized sound, gives people a chilling illusion. I'm not one of those idiots. I can lend my power to you at will. Even if you got the card, you couldn't use my power. But now that you look like this, I find it very interesting. Obtaining the skill card from the Otsutsuki dragon style. When it appeared in front of Shiraishi, the golden dragon used its projection consciousness to observe Shiraishi. When it discovered that Shiraishi had the ability to cross the two-world barrier and secretly guard against the glasses system, the golden dragon, it was decided to conduct an inspection of Beishi. I didn't understand what you meant. You don't need to understand. Then prepare to accept my favor. The photon surge energy condensed into a point and suddenly merged into Shiraishi's right eye, turning into a projection of special light. Shiraishi felt the surging power of light in his body integrating into himself. I look forward to the day when we actually meet in the future. As soon as he finished speaking, Shiraishi's consciousness returned. It was just a moment of distraction, and there was almost no change in the world around him. However, the proficiency of photon surge directly reaches 100%. This is the first time I have mastered a skill so quickly just now. The golden dragon had perfectly engraved the method of using the power of light in his mind. When fighting, he could easily use the photon spurt by directly using the round pupil of his right eye. The two of them were walking on the roadside. Kikayo was currently arranged by Shiraishi to live with Unohana. After all, the two had similar origins and should have many topics in common. Halfway through the walk, Kikayo finally couldn't help but say, "You are not from this world, right?" After more than 10 years of Shiraishi construction, Sunagakure village is now almost the most prosperous metropolis of this era. Platikiden and Unohana are walking on the streets of this brightly lit metropolis. For this strange era, Platikiden is actually very hesitant and confused. "Yes, I'm also from another world, Unohana." Ritsu smiled and looked at Sunagakure under the night with a hint of a smile. "To be precise, I'm a god of death, Grim Reaper." Looking at Unohana Ritsu's appearance in front of her, Kikayo couldn't connect her with a god of death. However, the special spiritual energy flowing from her body proved that she was indeed the god of death who controlled life and death. So, is it a god? Seeing Kikayo's thoughtful look, Unohana Ritsu stepped forward and took Kikayo's hand. "I was in the original world, but do you mind these things? Including the sense of Kazekage." For some reason, I had a very good impression of Kikayo. Maybe he had never seen someone with such clear eyes in so many years. Ace doesn't count. He's just a fool, that Kazekage. I see more of an ambition in him. Kikayo has seen this kind of look too much, so from the bottom of his heart, Kikayo has a lot of grudges about Shiraishi's resurrection. When ambition is directly proportional to talent, perhaps only such a person can change an era. When Unohana Ritsu said this, he remembered that it was the old man Genryusei Shijakuni Yamamoto. When the old man founded the Gotei 13 and the entire Sarita thousands of years ago, he was also very domineering at that time. It is completely different from the usual appearance of the captain after 1,000 years. The environment can change a person. Although Shiraishi is ambitious, he does not have the terrible desire like Aizen. Therefore, Unohana Ritsu is still quite interested in Kazekage and looks forward to how he will do it. Change this era. Unohana Ritsu likes this feeling of being a witness unable to understand Uesuga Retsu's brain circuit. Kikayo didn't want to think too much about it. However, judging from the life of civilians in this village, this Kazekage still takes good care of the lower class people. A year ago, Shiraishi built a separate courtyard in the Oasis Ring district for Unohana Ritsu. Although it was not as good as Unohana Ritsu's former mansion in Jinglingting, it was still a very exquisite courtyard. After Platikiden settled in, Uotahilai's home became lively. However, Kikayo likes to be quiet, so most of the time he does the same as when Unohana Ritsu first came, reading various classics and books to understand the world as quickly as possible. A few days later, Shiraishi sent someone to deliver a special wooden box and placed it in front of Kikayo and Unohana Ritsu. "This is it should be the weapon he prepared for you." Kakaio's bow and arrows did not come to this era with her, so Shiraishi decided to create a set of exclusive weapons for Kakaio Point after opening the wooden box. A set of exquisite silver longbows and 12 arrow clusters of completely different colors appeared in front of Platycodon. Yu Redding www.ukanshu.net gently picked up the bow. Platycodon could feel the powerful power contained in the bowable point in the past few days. Shiraishi specially built this bow jointly with the Shirogakiji family. This bow was made by incorporating deep sea mithril and a large number of rare materials. However, compared to the bow, the 12 arrow clusters are even more precious and rare. It is Sunagakure's current strongest level of craftsmanship that allows them to refine 12 arrow clusters for different uses. The 12 arrow clusters not only have different colors, but also have their own unique attributes and uses. The golden arrow clusters represent the huge yang energy contained in them, which is more suitable for large-scale purification of Platycodon. The silver arrow clusters contain special illusions that can be released in conjunction with Platycodon. Hypnosis, dream control and other means. Shiraishi called these 12 arrow clusters the 12 rainbows of demon breaking point. With these 12 arrow clusters, Platycodon can become a stronger and more cunning archer. When the time comes, it will have stronger purification and clearing capabilities against the reincarnated army of the Dirty Earth, making Platycodon a nightmare for the reincarnated army of the Dirty Earth. Point of course, in addition to the 12 powerful arrow clusters, Shiraishi also prepared a large number of conventional arrow clusters. The arrows flashed with cold light, which represented the current research and development level of Sunagakure Military Factory. Chapter 375, Class 7. In the Kazekage office, Shiraishi flipped through the documents and then asked, "What are the current trends in the Land of Rain?" There is no movement for the time being, but the Iwa Ninja Village is increasing the supply of supplies to the Rain Ninja Village. As the poorest country among the 4 major countries in the Ninja continent, Earth Country now has to bear the heavy burden of supporting the Rain country's finances. Although Inoki has a hard time maintaining it, he understands that Akatsuki must recruit important combat forces. Konoha's Filthy Earth reincarnation plan is now known to other ninja villages. Both Kumo Ninja and Iwa Ninja have asked to join this plan and then share the secret of Filthy Earth reincarnation point. Although Konoha was very repulsive to the Kumo Ninja and Iwa Ninja factions, Tsunade had to make a compromise in the face of pressure from the 2 allies. However, Konoha has conducted several actual tests on the reincarnation of Dirty Soil, and the results are very unsatisfactory. The object reincarnated by Dirty Soil successfully maintained it for a period of time before returning to the Pure Land again. Point with such a progress, let alone entering the battlefield, even basic communication would be difficult. Point the cause of the problem is that the effectiveness of clone cell humans is greatly reduced. Point Danzo was a little disdainful of this matter, thinking that Tsunade was now focusing on meaningless research on clone cell man. Since Cell Man was not easy to use on the future battlefield, human sacrifices would be used directly. Point of course, the effect of using civilians directly is very poor. After all, the amount of chakra is very small. Therefore, Genin or Chunin with a certain amount of chakra are the best and perfect living sacrifice test subjects. Danzo is really efficient. I have to say that Danzo in Konoha is really cute in Shiraishi's eyes. With the help of his shit stick, many things that were not going well have become smooth. Point of course, Shiraishi has a more important thing to deal with right now, which is to hold the largest joint Chunin exam in the history of the ninja world. After this Chunin exam, I'm afraid it will be difficult for the ninja world to have such a prosperous time again. Point or the final piece, bastard. Danzo, this guy should restrain himself. What made Tsunade angry was that the entire route plan was quickly exposed to the public eye. The plan to use civilian ninja living sacrifices to summon the strong seniors of Konoha through the ages shocked many Konoha ninjas. Although everyone is talking about the Will of Fire on weekdays, the sun is setting in Konoha right now, and something like this is happening, which immediately has a serious impact on morale. Point in fact, Tsunade also knew that this matter must have been done by Sunagakure's intelligence personnel within Konoha, and they spread this information to lower the morale of Konoha's shinobi war. However, Compared to Danzo's trivial matter, Tsunade is now more worried about the Chunin exam invitation letter sent by the envoy of Sunagakure. Point That's right. Sunagakure is now preparing to organize a joint Chunin exam in the area of the former Kikayo mountain. In addition to Konoha, Iwa Ninja, Kumo Ninja, and Kiri Ninja, all the ninja villages in the inner ninja continent are invited to participate. This heroic spirit attracted the attention of senior officials from various countries and the leaders of ninja village. As for the venue, Mount Kikayo, after years of improvements to the environment of Sunagakure, it has been completely renovated, and a bustling commercial area has been formed around it. Does it demonstrate national strength and strong foundation? Generally speaking, the Chunin examination is an important occasion for major powers to observe their national strength. However, in the environment where the ninja world war has become intense over the years, Sunagakure still holds the joint Chunin examination, which is obviously a reaction to show his strength. Under the governance of the 5th generation Kazekage, Sunagakure has become the strongest ninja village in the ninja world for more than 10 years. At the same time, he is also the de facto true manager of the Kingdom of Wind. With this dual identity, Shiraishi is undoubtedly the most powerful on this continent. Man of point ever since Sunagakure took control of the country of Yu. Even the most comfortable Kumo ninjas in the rear have felt threatened by Sunagakure. The two sides have been confronting each other in the north for several years and have fought countless times overtly and covertly. Among them, the reputation of Navy Admiral Ace has long been spread throughout the ninja world. An admiral who can easily defeat Hyuga Hisashi and put all the powerful Kumo ninjas at a disadvantage. Even Hagoromo Manto couldn't successfully take down Fire Fist Ace, so he has a strong deterrent effect on Kumo ninjas. As for Iwa Ninja, I'm afraid the pressure is even greater than that of Konoha. Not to mention the decline in national power, we still have to maintain the long front between the Apocalypse Mountains and Sunagakure. This mountain range cannot stop Sunagakure at all. The puppet dragon bombing a few years ago almost completely destroyed this line of defense. Now they are reluctant to invest huge military expenditures to maintain it. This is nothing more than a manifestation of the bad blood between Inoki and the internal daimyo of Earth Country. Faced with Sunagakure's invitation, Konoha planned to send a symbolic team of genin to go there. Tsunade originally planned to send the new generation Inoshiga Butterfly to the team, but Tsunade soon shook her head. At this stage, the strength of this new generation of pig butterflies will probably only be underestimated if they go to Sunagakure. Among the new generation, the most suitable ones are Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke, and Hiruno Sakura to form Team 7. The concept of this class was reserved during the 3rd generation of Hokage before Tsunade. After Tsunade took over as Hokage, she naturally came into contact with Uzumaki Naruto. Although the plot was twisted like this Naruto still had an influence on Tsunade. Compared with the 3rd Hokage period, Tsunade revealed Naruto's life experience to the people in the village at the beginning of this year. Naruto Uzumaki is not the reincarnation of a demon fox. On the contrary, he is the hero of the village. His parents, the 4th Hokage in the previous 9-tailed Jinchuriki, protected the village with their own lives. Tsunade's loud declaration made Naruto burst into tears in Jiraiya's arms. Uzumaki Naruto, who grew up in loneliness, always wanted to be recognized by others. Naruto had already learned part of his life experience from Jiraiya beforehand, but when he heard Tsunade's announcement, he burst into tears of joy. This behavior naturally caused dissatisfaction among the conservative forces led by Danzo, but Tsunade didn't care. Konoha has reached a moment of life and death. Reading www.ukanshu.net. She must make changes and unite with everything she can unite with. Even the Uchiha clan's rebellion against the village, which has long been officially defined, has been changed to a conflict of ideas and instigation by foreign forces. Tsunade took full care of the lives of the Uchiha Itachi brothers, and even sternly warned other people in the village not to provoke Sasuke about the Uchiha rebellion. Hiruno Sakura, the last member of the 7th class, is the disciple he accepted. Her chakra control is very good, and she is very suitable for learning Kali Fist. She is the successor of his mantle. The entire 7th team is the hope of Konoha's new generation, but there is one troublesome thing about going to Sunagakure, and that is Uzumaki Naruto's identity as the 9-tailed Jinchuriki. Tsunade is afraid That the Kazekage will directly seize the Jinchuriki in public. Tsunade vaguely remembered that during the Takigakure incident in the past, this Kazekage could pretend to be Lop, nor sneak into Konoha and directly control Nanao in the hands of Konoha and Kumo Ninja. Konoha's class 7 is much stronger than it was historically, but as the leader of the team, Kakashi is under a lot of pressure now. Because these three are all newcomers with super problems. PS. The second update will be updated on Saturday night. I really can't code anymore, and I'm out of shape. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.